And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reininger versus Lignar. Step forward, please.
Nurse's assistant Eva Reininger and her husband, mechanic Raymond Reininger, are suing their neighbors, landscaper Brad Lignar and his wife Deborah. The Reiningers claim the Lignars' dog, Sammy, destroyed their backyard.
Mr. and Mrs. Reininger, it is your claim that the defendant's dog damaged some property of yours. Tell me about that.
Somewhere around the second or third week of February, we found the dog wandering around our home.
What kind of dog was it?
Black Labrador. We saw he had a tag on with a telephone number on it. So we took the dog in, and I made a phone call. The phone number that we called was disconnected. I looked on the computer on a reverse directory, and I found the address. We went to the home. We noticed that there was nobody home. It was about a mile away from our home. And we had left a note that we had found the dog.
And you kept the dog in your house?
In our backyard. We have 2.5 acres fenced in. 2 or 3 days, we kept going back to see if anybody was there. We had also called animal control to let them know if anybody phoned in that they had a missing dog, that we had him. Finally, on a Monday, I had gone by the house again, and there was a car in the driveway, and I asked them if they were missing a dog, and Mr. Lignar said, yes, you have my Sammy. And they have a big fenced-in yard, and he said, our problem is he keeps jumping out. At that point, I said, would you like to come and get him? He says, well, where do you live? I said, about a mile down the road. At that point, he said, no. He says, just open the door, let him out, tell him Poppy's home, and he'll come home by himself. So I was on my way back, and then I saw Mrs. Lignar coming to get the dog. So we stopped in the street. The dog went and got in the truck with her.
Okay, so she actually then came to the
was,
dog.
yes, she was on her way there. A week, 2 weeks went by. All of a sudden, we look in the backyard, and there's Sammy scaling our fence in our backyard, and now he's got a longer piece of chain attached to him. So he was with us again for a couple of days, and by now he had started.
Did you call them again?
Yes, we did. We tried calling, and nobody was answering. So at this point, I was starting to get a little fed up, and I said, this is ridiculous. They had told us the last time that they had gone to Daytona for 4 days, and apparently the dog was left unattended for 4 days while they were away. At this point now, I had already contacted the humanitarians who I work with. I work with Animal Rescue, and I work with several animal organizations. They were all willing to come and take Sammy if they did not want him. Now, we started noticing he was digging huge holes in the backyard, and he was digging out our shrubs. And now he was at the point where he was jumping over our fence and jumping back. Then we had a phone call. We had a message on our answering machine from Mr. Lignar saying, I know that you have my dog. I'd like you to bring my dog back. So we brought the dog back, and I guess my husband met with Mrs. Lignar and said, your dog has done several $100s worth of damages to our shrubs, our hedges, our fences, our bushes. You need to have someone come over and take a look at the damages. Well, they never came back. Well, Sammy must have come back 2 or 3 more times and kept jumping over our fence. At one point, we had him in our screened-in porch while he went through our screened porch. It's 2 years old, and it was custom built. The final straw was 2 o'clock in the morning. He came over our fence again, and we have a doggy door because we have 4 dogs of our own. Well, he came in through the doggy door, and he jumped into bed with our 4-year-old and our 2-year-old and scared the living daylights out of them. And to this day, we cannot get our kids to sleep in their own bed because they're terrified that this dog is going to come in and scare them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eva and Raymond Reininger are suing their neighbors, Brad and Deborah Lignar, for damage to their backyard. The Reiningers say their dog, Sammy, is the culprit.
Go ahead.
We have estimates. We have pictures of the damage of what the house looked like before Sammy, after Sammy. And what we did was we just went to a local gardening store and got estimates on how much it would cost to replace the plants and the shrubs. And we got an estimate from the people who did the screen on how much it would cost to repair. These are the before and after pictures of Sammy. And these
How
are
old
the
was Sammy?
I believe they told me at the time that he was a little over a year old.
Okay, who's going to speak for your family?
Me, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to hear you.
Well, the dog got loose when we were in Daytona. My daughter was coming over to feed my animals. Okay.
How many animals do you have?
I have 1 black lab and 2 cats.
And the black lab was kept outside?
Yeah, he was outside dog.
Never comes in your house?
No, he comes in. She doesn't like because of the dog here and stuff, but I sneak him in.
So the dog was outside day and night when you were away?
Yes.
Didn't you ever hear of a kennel?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's wrong with the kennel?
Well, he protects the house. If anybody tries...
It's not protects the house if he's not there.
Well, somebody let him loose.
No.
Oh, yes.
Well, they didn't let him loose.
Well...
They didn't let him loose.
One of the neighborhood kids has let him loose before. You know,
so if you know that happened before, then you should have taken steps and used a kennel.
Well, what I can't understand is they said Sammy turned around and broke the chain. Well, I have the dog's chain right here.
Well, we didn't have a ghost dog. It was your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
They did not go and get your dog. So why didn't, when they presented you with these bills, why didn't you take care of them?
I wasn't home at the time.
Well, what makes you think you're not responsible for these bills?
I don't see it's my dog's doing it. You know, maybe once or twice, but, you know, they have pictures every day that they said it was my dog. There's neighbors got other black labs, and they have a female black lab.
So?
Now, how do I know their dog didn't do it?
You don't, except that they say so. Did the Chronicles ever call you and indicate to you that they could place the dog?
No, she did not. If she did, she got somebody else's phone number.
Well, let's go back to the first time they came. Mrs. Reiniger says that the first time she came and said she has your dog because she had to go and find you, you said, well, just open the gate and tell him Poppy's home and he'll go home. Does that sound right to you?
No, I told her, I said, where's the dog at? She says, my house, chained up, in her backyard. Well, if you were going to get rid of a dog...
So what did you tell her to do?
I told her, unchain the dog, tell him to come home, he'll come home. If not, I'll come down and get him.
Is that stupid?
No.
I mean, is there something wrong with you? Your dog's been missing, you're gone. Somebody, total stranger, goes to the trouble of finding out where you live.
This was the second time.
I'm talking about the first time. Finding out where you live, coming to your home and saying, we have your dog, we've taken care of your dog while you've been on vacation in Daytona. Okay, we've taken care of your dog and protected your dog. Wasn't hit by a car, was fed, was cared for. And instead of you getting into your car and going over there and saying, thank you very much, I'm sorry for any trouble or inconvenience, you say, oh, just open up the door, let him go, tell him Poppy's home. What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know where she got this Poppy stuff from.
Probably from you.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah. And it kept happening again and again and again. So clearly, something was wrong with the security system that you had, unless you believe that these people came and stole your dog out of your yard.
They might have done that, too.
Are you under psychiatric care?
Yeah.
Huh?
No.
Are you under psychiatric care? You on any medication?
No.
And then you're just being a smart mouth. Where is Sammy now? How is it that he hasn't been back to your house in how long?
It's been quite a while.
Where is he now?
She had him, my wife had him
put to sleep.
Why did you have him put to sleep?
While all this has been going on, I had taken Sammy to get him neutered. And when I took him in to get him neutered, he was diagnosed with heartworm. So I had to have him put to sleep.
You don't put a dog to sleep who has heartworm. You treat him.
No, they said it was too
They said
too
he
far
was
gone.
into the advanced stages, so...
Well, if he was in the advanced stages, it means you weren't giving him heartworm medication, which you're supposed to give your dogs. That's what dogs get, heartworm pills. So, you know, especially they're outdoor dogs. Why weren't you giving the dog proper pills?
We were.
If a dog is getting heartworm medication regularly, they do not get heartworm. Unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Reiniger, you're only suing for $470. I say that unfortunately because these are the most irresponsible people that I've met in a long time. That's just damage to your yard and your property and not for the trauma that Sammy caused when he just came into the room. He didn't hurt your children, but he came in the middle of the night. Your lawsuit seeks $470. Judgment for the plaintiff. Don't get any more dogs.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barriga versus Cully, step forward.
Mechanic Roman Barriga is suing his former neighbors, Sean Cully Sr. and his wife Karen. Roman says the Cully's son, 14-year-old Sean Jr., broke out the windows on 2 of his Porsches.
Have a seat. You up. Tell me your name.
Sean Cully,
How old are you?
14.
Did you knock out the windows in his sports cars that were in his backyard?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I thought it was fun at the time.
Were you with anybody else?
Yes.
Who?
Jimmy.
Whose idea was it to knock the windows out?
Jimmy's.
Was there something in particular about his windows that looked enticing to you?
No, ma'am.
You mean you just had nothing else to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it a school day?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you gone to school that day?
No, ma'am.
You played hooky?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your parents know you played hooky?
Not until that evening.
How did they find out in the evening?
I left my jacket up at Mr. Berger's house.
That's how we found out it was you, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. You're his father?
Yes, ma'am.
You're his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's your defense?
Well, the defense is I agreed to pay for the damage that he caused. There was another party involved.
The other party denied it.
The other party lied through their teeth.
Listen to me. The other party denied it. He has no proof that Jimmy was involved. He has proof that your son was involved because he left his jacket there. You go sue Jimmy for his half. Your son was involved. He's responsible for the whole ball of wax.
Okay.
It's not his responsibility to go chasing after the people involved. He got one person. He got your son, who was foolish enough to leave his jacket.
Well, he was full to skip school and get himself in trouble.
You're absolutely right.
And
So that if somebody has to go chasing around to find out who else was responsible, it doesn't have to be this man here. It has to be you.
Right. And
Right, because you should know where your son is. Because I guarantee it's not the first time he skipped school. Right?
well, yes, it was, to our knowledge.
Oh, no. It's not the first time he skipped school, is it? No.
Well, there we go. There's a first.
First time maybe you know about it, but it's not the first time he
That's
skipped
true.
school.
That's true.
Fine. May I please have the bills for the windows for the car, please? See, I didn't even have to say anything.
There you go.
What is it all together, Mr. Barriga?
It's $6,236,
Just
Your
the
Honor.
car windows?
Well, plus the installation, plus the clips, moldings, and other items that have to go with it to install that glass.
Let me see pictures of the car, sir.
There you go.
Just the pictures, man.
Just pictures.
How old are these cars?
One is a 72, one is a 74 Porsche 914, Your Honor. I was storing them for restoration, is what I was doing.
All the windows are broken out on the car. Did you see the damage to the car, sir?
I was not allowed to see the damage. I went up a couple days later. Mr. Braga wasn't home, and I asked, and they said, no, we can't let you back here till he's home. And the schedule I was working, I was gone constantly.
Your Honor, when we talked about retribution, he said, bring me a list of the damages, and I'll take care of it.
How much did you tell him the damage was, Mr. Barriga? Not $6,000.
No, at that time, he was going to repair it himself and take care of it. Just give me the list. All I need is the year, make, model, and the last date of the van.
Sir,
That's correct. I did say that.
did you ever tell him that the damage was $3,000?
The first time I talked to Mrs. Cooley, yes, that night, I said,
No,
Mrs.
sir.
Cooley, this is a minimum of at least $3,000. I said a minimum of at least $3,000.
On the first night, it went from 13 to 3. And, Your Honor, I have here from the internet, 1972 Porsche 914. All I could pull up was a Targa. These cars are not Targas. Low retail value, $2,200 for a running car with all glass. I can pick these cars up at a junkyard for $500.
Then what you should do, sir, is do that.
Well,
You should listen to me, sir. Because he had these cars, and if he wanted to put them outside and grow geraniums out of the gas tank, that's his prerogative.
yes, it is.
That's his prerogative. Before your son decided to trash these cars, they had windows, front windows, back windows, side windows, vent windows, and they may not have been running and they may not have been in working order,
I understand.
but they looked just fine.
Would you like these? They come from the internet about the car?
No, I believe you, sir.
Okay.
I believe you. I also believe that the initial estimate of $3,000 is probably right, because if Mr. Barriga is restoring cars, and the reason he had these cars is to restore them,
Well, but
you were going to restore them yourself, sir?
yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
And now the next case.
All parties on Fajardo versus Bogert. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Sonia Fajardo is suing her ex-girlfriend, 28-year-old student Christina Bogert, for unpaid loans to get back on her feet. Christina says they were in love and the money was never a loan.
Ms. Fajardo, it is your claim that the defendant owes you some money as a result of a loan, and this loan was made to the defendant while you were dating. Tell me about the loan.
Well, when we first started dating, I was in Orlando, and I moved down to Miami to start school. And when we were dating, it was long-term, and I wanted her to move down with me, and she also wanted to live down there with me as well. She did have lots of bills that, after September 11th, as a server, you don't make that much money when people don't go out to eat.
You were working in a restaurant.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So the plan was that she would move in with me. She was living in my dorm room. She didn't have to pay for rent, utilities, anything like that. No food, because we had the cafeteria. I mean, no bills, and she could save the money, pay me back, and pay the rest of her bills. And when she moved down, everything was fine until people found out on campus. And obviously, that's against the rules, so it was either she move out or...
You mean against
both.
the rules for her to live in the dorm room
Yes.
and eat in the cafeteria as a non-student?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's
Yes.
logical.
Yes.
People pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah, and since we were sort of desperate, my friend was renting a room, and when she moved down there, she was still not making enough. So she was
To what?
changing jobs.
She wasn't making enough to pay for what? She didn't have any expenses.
Well, she has a car payment and credit cards that she had to pay, and she wasn't able to pay it, and she needed to borrow some more money so that she could live in my friend's apartment. But I only had $200 at the time, so I lent her $200 and then the rest later. But throughout this whole time, she always would say, you know, I'm going to put that money back in your account.
You didn't talk in terms of repayment. It's later on that she said, I want to repay you.
Yes.
So the original money that you laid out for her was not a loan. It was, come down here because we can be together. That's what you're telling me. It was she who then said at some point, as soon as I get on my feet, I'll put this money back in your account. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, that's not a loan. Because she says there was never a loan.
But she also asked me, though. I mean, it wasn't just an offer. She asked me, and I said, okay.
You said okay.
To lend her the money.
Even if you said you'll pay me back when you can. That's a possibility, right?
Possible, yes.
Right. If you have that kind of need to be with each other, then you don't start talking about these financial arrangements when you're going to start paying me back on the 1st of September, $50, and every 15th and the 1st of the month thereafter. You didn't have that conversation. That's what a loan is. At least if you make a loan and there is, this is what you owe. This is how you're going to pay it back. This is when you're going to pay it back. That's a contract. It's not a contract, Ms. Fajardo, when you say, here's the money, pay me back when you can.
It wasn't when you can. It was when she moved down, she was supposed to pay me back, and she never paid me back. That was a plan for her to pay me back.
Okay. Now, was that your plan?
No, as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't a
Not
loan
as far
at
as
all.
you're concerned.
Oh.
Was that your plan, is what I asked you, Ms. Bogart, to pay her back? She's the student. You're the worker.
I paid for everyday incidentals. I mean, I was making cash daily as a server. So we'd go out to eat, we'd go out entertainment at night and everything like that, and I paid for that. When it came to paying for bills that needed, you know, signing off on a check, I didn't have a checking account. So that's where she came in, and she made out the actual checks. I, on the other hand, paid for, you know, daily expenses. It was a mutual agreement. We were in a relationship. She paid for things, I paid for things. It was never
How
loan.
long did you stay in her dorm room?
I'm not sure, a couple months? I'm not exactly sure.
About a month and a half.
And how many times did you take her out to dinner?
Enough. More than 10 times, less than 100.
We went out to dinner once, and I put it on my credit card to actual dinner. The rest was going to maybe Taco Bell or Burger King.
That's still dinner.
What money did you advance her, Ms. Fajardo?
I advanced her $500.
For what?
Her car payment.
$500. What else?
There was a speeding ticket that she had gotten for $147.
Go ahead. What else?
With the citation.
What else?
And then rent.
What rent?
For the
$200?
$200 and then $250.
She also lived in that apartment with me.
I lived in my dorm room. I never gave up my dorm room.
I don't care whether you gave up the dorm room. Did you ever sleep in another apartment that she was living in?
Yes.
Forget it.
But I was not living there. I lived on campus the whole time.
All of this was gifts to you by someone who was sort of smitten, and there was never an agreement or an understanding that when you could, you would start paying her back. That's what you want me to
Well, it was a
believe.
relationship. I mean, we did things for each other. I mean, it wasn't like a business.
So far, I haven't heard anything that you did for her. Only that she did for you, financially. I'm talking about only financially.
Well, just because she has the documentation for it, because she had the checking account. I, on the other hand, because I was a server, only had cash. I don't have any...
That's a very, very smart thing. A server should have a bank account. She has the documentation because she provided the money. And it is my belief that you are responsible to repay her this money, even though she did it in sort of a sloppy way. I believe it was the intention of both parties at the time that she advanced this money for you to begin to pay it back at some point. You seem to think you don't have that obligation. I believe you do. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200.
Yeah, this is case number 438 on the calendar in the matter of Clemens versus Powell.
record.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Clemens, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together. You claim that in September of last year he assaulted you.
Yes.
Then again, there was some sort of an altercation in October of last year, and you were arrested. And it is your claim that after that, you were barred from going to the house, and Mr. Powell got rid of all of your property.
No, he has all my property.
You want it back, or you want what he got rid of? You want the value of it? Mr. Powell says that there was never an assault in September, at least not one perpetrated by him.
Correct.
And that the property that you're speaking of was property that you were supposed to retrieve with the assistance of a third party pursuant to a court order. You never got a third party to come and get your property, and he got rid of it.
Correct.
Okay. How long did you live together, Ms. Clemens?
2 years, a little over 2 years.
From when to when?
From November of 2000 until October of 2001.
2002. Were you living in his apartment, your apartment, or is it an apartment that you moved into together?
He moved into my apartment, and after that, we moved into a house.
So you were living in 2002 in a leased house?
Yes.
And in whose name was the lease?
Both of ours.
Is that right?
This is correct.
And when did the lease expire?
February 1st of 2003.
So at the time that you left the house in October of 2002, there was still a few months to go on the lease. Is that right? All right. Now, I want you to tell me first, since you're suing for this assault that allegedly happened in September of 2002, I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding that assault.
Me and Mr. Powell got into an argument, and basically it was the same thing, arguing about who did what, and basically we weren't getting along. We weren't getting along at all. And he hit me.
What time of the day? Where were you?
And it was nighttime, and I was in my room.
And he just hit you? Did he hit you with a fist? Did he hit you with an object? Did he hit you with a hand?
His open hand.
And what happened after he hit you?
I cried for a while. We argued some more, and he left out the room.
And then what happened?
The next day I woke up feeling sore all over, so I went to the hospital.
You have a hospital report?
Yes, I do.
Let me see it. Where were you hit?
Here, there, and on my other arm.
You said he slapped you with an open fist.
He slapped me and he hit me a couple times.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear, but he slapped me and hit me a couple times.
Did you go to the police?
No, I did not. I refused
After you went to the hospital, where did you go?
I went back home.
Did you tell them at the hospital that you have a safe place to go?
Not exactly, no, because...
Well, that's what they say that you told them.
Yes,
that you had a safe place to go, and the safe place to go is you went home.
Yes, because he was at work. It was safe at home. He was gone.
Well, did you pack up your things and leave?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because I was in love with Mr. Powell. We had had arguments before.
So then if you were in love with Mr. Powell and you decided to stay,
yes.
And I'm not interested in your suing him now because he slapped you in September when you went home and you decided to stay. Do you have children together?
No, we do not.
So the only thing that you have together is a lease?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Were you working at the time?
Yes.
So then you're not financially dependent upon him for any reason?
Oh, no, he was financially dependent on me.
So that there was no reason why you couldn't just pick up and leave?
I understand that, ma'am.
Who are these people here with you today?
My best friend, M.J. Andrews, and my ex-husband who took me to the hospital, and they're here with me to support me.
So you could have gone to either one of their houses, is that right, if you felt that you were in danger?
I don't feel like I was in that much danger because...
So then why are you suing him now?
I don't... The suing him for the violence is not important. What's important today is my things that were left in the house, and I did try to obtain...
Just 1 second. I'm not there yet. So what you're telling me is you just threw in this September incident
no, they asked
for good
me,
measure.
They asked me what happened, and I told them.
Well, you could tell them, but you had no inkling to sue him for this. Fine. That's good, because from me you wouldn't get anything. I'm not even sure that it happened. Now I'd like you to tell me what happened in October. I'm going to you because according to you there was an assault in October.
Correct.
And she was arrested.
Correct.
Let me hear what happened.
Okay, basically what happened was, as she may have mentioned, that we were not getting along at this point in our relationship because of the different mood swings that she would have, as well as the what I would characterize as obsessive, possessive type of behavior towards me in our relationship. Yes.
How long did you know Miss Clemens?
I knew her for 2 years.
When you knew her, was she taking medication?
I wasn't aware of her taking medication until maybe 6 months in our relationship.
Either an antidepressant, is that what you take, yes. Antidepressants?
Yes. I'm no longer on them.
Hmm?
I no longer take them.
But you were taking them for quite a while.
Yes, and Mr. Powell knew because
That's all. You were taking them for quite a while.
But Mr. Powell was aware of the time that I got the prescription, and he knew how long I was taking them and why.
Between 1995 and 2000, had you been taking antidepressants or any other psychiatric medication?
I only started taking Zoloft, which is an antidepressant, in 2001.
Okay.
Prior to that, no,
Nothing. In October, sir,
Yes.
you want to tell me what happened?
As she said, she was prescribed, I said she was prescribed medication, but she wasn't taking it, or if she was taking this medication, she was taking it with the addition of alcohol at the same time, which basically caused the violent mood swings. There was a lot of violence anyway. October 3rd, it escalated to the point where she pushed me through a glass door. The glass was already broken from an incident that she had broken this glass before for being upset with me, and that was basically how she showed her anger, was to break things and throw things. Anyway, the police were called in. She was arrested at that point.
On the 3rd of October?
Correct. There's a temporary protection order that's given with any domestic violence case. She violated that temporary protection order by constantly harassing and stalking me, as well as coming by the house, as well as the number of phone calls that she will call. Like I said, I have an answering machine that takes 50 messages. She would fill those up totally. I presented this to the police department, and they rearrested her for violation of the
When did they
temporary
rearrest her?
November the 4th, I want to say, Your Honor. I'm not sure exactly when, but at that court date, she was dealing with some bad check things, as well as a preliminary trial on this domestic violence. They rearrested her that day because they had an arrest warrant out for her, but they couldn't find her. They got her when we went to court that day, so she was rearrested at that time. So I made sure that the judge understood that my problem is only this. I want this woman to deal with the medication and help herself. I even told her I don't even want her to have jail time, as opposed to, could you just make sure that there's something in place that she gets treatment for her symptoms. And basically what she was doing was she was causing me and my son, she was jeopardizing me and my son's life through all these different things.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After she basically kept violating judge's orders and putting me and my son's life in jeopardy, I felt that there was no need for me to keep this going on. This civil case is basically the same example of her trying to keep some type of relationship going here, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Clemens says ex-boyfriend Ricardo Powell owes for the return of property and for an assault. Ricardo says Lisa is a violent woman.
Mrs. Clemens, in November, did you plead guilty to any of these charges, and were you given a year's probation?
I pled guilty to the violation of the protection order,
okay.
And they dismissed the domestic violence.
The underlying.
The only reason I placed those phone calls to Mr. Powell in violation of the protection order was because I had no longer had any of my things. Mr. Powell denied a third party on two other occasions.
Wait just 1 second. I'm not there yet. I asked you if you pled guilty. The answer is yes. You had an attorney, is that right?
Yes, and I spent a night in jail.
Okay. Now, as part of the order, the judge told you that you could send a third party for your property.
Yes, but Mr. Powell...
Just a second. What was the name of the third party that you designated to get your property?
My Aunt Donna. Mr. Powell denied.
Just a second. What was wrong with these two people here to get your property?
My aunt was available with me in court, and therefore the people, when I left the courthouse that day, we designated her because the court officers were there.
Who designated her?
My lawyer and I, because she was there. She was available. She was in court.
Was that part of the order?
No, it's not. The person isn't designated on the court papers.
Okay.
I went back to court, Your Honor.
I'm not there yet, Ms. Clement. I'm trying to go in order. When, for the first time, were you contacted by Ms. to get her property?
There was never any contact business. There was only contact by Lisa a week after the trial.
Just a second.
Yes.
A week after
the trial.
The trial.
Correct.
Did you, Ms. Clements, go to the defendant's house?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did your aunt go to the defendant's house?
No, she did not. I have a witness here today that he claims was with me. I have not even driven down the street.
Just a second. Is there any reason why you brought these two witnesses here today instead of your aunt?
Because my aunt is working and she could not get off of work.
Don't these people work?
Yes, but...
Listen to me, Ms. Clements. The defense that Mr. Powell has in this case is that you were instructed by the court to have a third party retrieve your property. His defense is you never had a third party contact him in order to get that property. You say that you did, and that third party was your aunt. So it would seem to me that that is a key witness. These people aren't key witnesses. This person was the person you designated. Why would you not bring a pivotal witness who you say can testify that you were trying to comply with the judge's order?
My aunt was not, to me, a pivotal key witness in this.
Okay, well, to me she is.
I understand that,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to see a list of the property that you say you left behind at Mr. Powell's. Do you still have the bed with the mattress and box spring?
No.
Chest of drawers?
No.
Jewelry?
No.
What'd you do with it?
She had a couple bags of clothes, some books, and she does have one dresser. It's a desk. Right, that's it. Other than that, everything else is thrown out, which was shoes, it was toothbrushes, personal items, things of that nature. After she basically kept violating judges' orders and putting me and my son's life in jeopardy, I felt that there was no need for me to keep this going on. This civil case is basically the same example of her trying to keep some type of relationship going here, Your Honor.
Mr. Powell, I want you to tell me, sir, when she was arrested in October.
Correct.
Now, up until that time, the two of you had lived together for a couple of years. When you live together for a couple of years, you accumulate property. You have your clothes and things. Did there ever come a time when you gave certain of her property over to somebody so that she would have clothes and shoes?
As soon as she got out of jail, she was there within 2 hours with the police escort to get her things. They gave her things. They allowed her to take things out that day. So she took most of her things that first day.
Miss Clemens, on October the 4th, were you accompanied by a police officer, easy to verify, back to Mr. Powell's house to retrieve some of your property?
Yes, I was accompanied by the police officer.
And how long did you stay with the police officer, which is also easy to verify, in Mr. Powell's house?
Mr. Powell rushed us out after about 20 minutes. He told me to get what I could get and get out.
No, there was a police officer with you.
Yes, and
there was a police officer with you. I assume that if you were there with an officer, you wanted to get things that were most valuable to you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you take your jewelry?
Because the jewelry was what I consumed. What jewelry I had on was most important to me. The jewelry that was left in the house were things I did not wear every day. The clothing I obtained was stuff that I needed to get through the week. Mr. Powell stopped me from getting everything. I wish I could.
I'm not talking about everything. I'm asking you about a specific thing. I'm asking you about jewelry. To me, woman goes into a house, she grabs cash and jewelry first, and then you go to your pocketbook.
Your Honor.
What? Go ahead.
I have this whole situation with Lisa has been such a terrifying thing. As I said, I've even neglected to countersue her for the amount of rent left on our lease, as well as the damages to the house, which I have pictures of right here. Those damages would be in a total of somewhere between $800 and $900. The rent would be the total of like $1,400. I don't want nothing else to do with this whole situation whatsoever, so I've neglected to countersue.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you go to get her things?
No, I never got a chance to because the officer called me back and said he changed his mind.
No, I don't believe. Let's not get involved with things that you really don't know anything about.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Clemens says ex-boyfriend Ricardo Powell won't return her property. She also claims Ricardo assaulted her.
I would like to know, Mr. Powell, on what date you disposed of, according to you, these couple of bags of clothing and shoes?
November the 19th, the day that she came over a week after the trial in violation of the judge's order. There was no more purpose at that point. She was going to keep violating the protection order. She was going to keep violating the judge's order.
Now, she was found guilty on the violation.
She was found guilty on the domestic violence. She had it mixed up, Your Honor. That's the only thing I'm clarifying. She was found guilty of the domestic violence. I plea bargained her to dismiss the violation of the temporary protection order.
So she wouldn't go to jail?
Correct. That she would get this counseling.
Right. So she wouldn't go to jail because
Correct.
If you're found guilty on the violation, what?
Correct. Yes, sir.
You want to say something?
Yes.
Well, step up for a second. Tell me what you want to say. Your last name is?
My last name is Twine.
Go ahead.
I went with the police to their house to get her clothes and things.
Is that the day she was released?
This was the second time, I believe. And he would not let her get anything. And the police called both their lawyers, and I believe both lawyers agreed that she could get these things. And he told them at first she could come and get them. And then the police called me back.
Just a second. Who did he tell she could come and get?
He told the police.
How do you know that?
Because the officer called me at home, at my house, and told me that I could go and get the things without her.
You, not her.
Not her.
You.
Me. Right.
Fine. When did you go to get her things?
Now,
listen to me carefully. When did you go to get her things?
I never got a chance to because the officer called me back and said he changed his mind.
No. I don't believe.
Oh, well,
that I don't believe. Yeah. He said you could go.
Exactly.
Was she going with you?
No, she was not allowed to go.
Good.
She was there to...
Now let me hear your version of these events.
Okay, Your Honor. After the police, they said she has a reasonable expectation to come after the domestic violence case to come back and get some things out of her house. I gave them the run of the house to get what they have to do because I understood the police officers. After that, I was advised by the police officers as well as the prosecutor's office that anything else after this would have to be dealt with in court. They came over 3 extra more times after that in violation of what everybody is stating.
Who's they?
She came over more than once. He came over the second time after the police with her, too. She was there with him the second time.
Where was she?
They were in the truck in front of the house.
Did you ever go over to the house in the truck with her? Shh. The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Well, you can't do that, sir.
Okay, well, we met the police there at the house. And we were not in front of your house. We were 2 doors down, actually. We called the police before going to his house.
She can't go there, sir. Don't you understand that?
Exactly. I understand that. Okay, Jan, if you may, if she can't go there, why would he have her come there and pay the rent and then put her out?
Again,
after the whole situation.
Let's not get involved with things that you really don't know anything about.
I know about it.
Okay? Sit down.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You have to put a period. You have to say this did not work out. The relationship is over. I'm not going to have anything to do with him. I lost some. He may have lost some. I lost more. That's the way it usually goes. It's over. Forget it. Go buy a new TV and a new hamper. Do you understand?
Yes,
it's finished. It's over. If you stop taking your medication because you don't feel as if you need it anymore,
I'm not with him anymore.
If you don't feel as if you need it anymore, that's a judgment that you're going to have to make. I'm not so sure, Ms. Clements, that that's the best idea. However, if you think that that's a good idea, fine. Cross him off and say it's over and let it go. That's all.
This is case number 4. This is case number 267 on the calendar in the matter of Bricker versus McLeod. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Bricker, while you and the defendant were in a relationship, it is your claim that you financed a car for him.
That's correct.
With the understanding that he was going to make all the payments, and when all the payments were made, the title would be placed in his name. He missed a payment. You took the car back. The time you... Yes, according to your complaint, madam, that's what you say. You say part of your agreement was that if he missed one payment, you would take the car back. He missed a payment, you took the car back. When you took the car back, it had a bad transmission, and you want him to pay for the transmission, and that he owes you money for furniture. Now, is anything that I said incorrect?
He missed the payment in December.
I don't care when he missed it. He missed a payment.
Right, correct. But I did not get the car back until...
I don't care when you got the car back. The reason you took the car back is because he missed a payment.
He asked me if I wanted the car back. I did not take the car back from him. I sent him a certified letter stating that he could keep the car because I didn't want it back because I knew the transmission was damaged.
So why did you take it back?
He called and asked me if I wanted the car back. And so that's exactly what I did. I said, then fine, if you don't want the car, then give it back to me. So...
Miss Bricker, you have the car.
Correct.
You want him to pay you for the bad transmission.
Correct.
He made all the payments for the car except one.
Correct.
That's what I said.
Okay.
And you claim that you made a loan to him for furniture. He says it was never a loan for furniture. You bought some furniture for his house, but that was of your own volition. There was never a discussion of it being a loan. And you were really being sort of spiteful in taking back the car because he made all of the payments. For how long, sir?
For 11 months.
One payment he missed, and it wasn't even the last payment. It was a payment several months before, and he thought that you forgave that missed payment, and if you had asked him for it, he would have given it to you. So he is counterclaiming. He's counterclaiming for all the money he put into the car. That's what this case is about. Where is the car?
He has it right now.
I have it right now.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you have it for?
Because she told me if I started making payments on it, that she would allow me to continue to make payments on it.
That is not true.
That is
you
true.
have the car now.
I have the car now.
Good, so your counterclaim's dismissed, right? Because you have the car, right? What do you look so stunned for? What do you look stunned for? You're counterclaiming for the car payments because you say you want all the money back.
As long as
you have the car back. That was your agreement.
Because it wasn't ever my intention to give her the car back. I wanted to keep making payments on it.
That's what you're going to do, right?
Right.
So you're withdrawing your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, and you're withdrawing that part of your claim that deals with the transmission for the car because you didn't have it fixed. Is that right?
The reason he has the car back is because his dad's truck broke down that he was using. He called up and asked if he could rent the car from me, and I said fine. He gave me $50 on Wednesday to rent the car from me because he had no transportation to take his kids to and from school.
Ms. Bricker, did you pay any money to fix the transmission on the car?
Over $3,800, yes, I did.
Let me see the bill.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
There's also another. The transmission became disabled, and there was a statement that said from his mechanic that said that the car was going to need a new transmission. A year later is when I paid for the new transmission. After he called me and told me, you can have the car back. Here's the receipts.
I just want to see the bill
Your
for
Honor.
the transmission.
Your Honor. I intended on making payments on it and getting the transmission fixed, and she makes it seem like I just gave the car back because it was broken.
That's exactly.
That's
why
not
he gave
correct.
The car back.
We broke up.
I don't care. I don't care. You have to pay her for having the car fixed if you want it back.
I was going to pay that.
Good. Now let's hear about the furniture.
In October, I came into some money, a lot of money. And what ended up happening is he was getting ready to move out from where he was currently living with his 2 small children, and he was moving into a new place. And I wanted things nice. He had old furniture for the kids. He had absolutely nothing, no pots and pans, hardly anything in the house, because most of the stuff was missing after his divorce from his wife or separation. And so what I did, and he agreed to this, I said, here's some furniture that's for sale. I said, it's $125. It was a 7-piece, you know, couch, sofa, love seat, coffee table, lamp, the whole thing. And I said, do you want this? And he said, yes. And I go, well, I'll pay it, and and you'll pay me back. And that was the agreement. I wasn't buying this for him. I gave him other gifts other than.
We're talking about $125?
No. It's not more. It's more than that. It's stuff for the bathroom that I purchased.
All gifts.
It was not gifts.
Shh, don't speak to her. What do you need stuff for the bathroom? What's stuff for the bathroom?
Stuff for the bathroom, shower curtains, towels, clothes for the kids, dressers, all of that stuff. I paid for everything, and he agreed that he would pay me back for all of this.
Show me.
I have it.
Show me.
Show. What do you want me to show you? He said, send me statements, and I did. I started sending them back in March to them, and I have copies of the statements that I started sending.
You have something on that recording that says that he acknowledges that debt?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to hear it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Money only came up when we separated.
I'm not interested in that explanation. You were giving him money for a long time.
That's what I want to say. The only time when she asked for something is when we broke up.
You're slick.
And later today.
I went and picked up the truck. I had legal right to do so.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I got court ordered to do so.
Oh, well, let me see the court order.
I don't have it on me.
Well, then you don't have it. Then you don't have it. If you don't have it with you, then you don't have it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Victoria Bricker says ex-boyfriend Alfonso McLeod owes for car damages and for an unpaid loan for furniture.
All right. Let me hear the tape, please.
Number 8 at 5:26 a.m.
Do you think hanging up on me is going to make you get paid any quicker? But like I said, before you were such an immature child and hung up the phone, I'm willing to give you your money back that I owe you. I'm also willing to give you $50 a month to ensure that you get paid and receive every last penny that I owe you. But if you don't think that that's good enough, why don't you just go ahead and take me to court? And then that way we'll find out what you will ultimately end up receiving. Either it's going to be all or it's going to be nothing. So those are your two options. You let me know what you want to do. You can go ahead and call me during my bad power hours. You can go ahead and tell me what you think about that, okay? Bye-bye.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Oh, every other conversation, she's like, well, where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? Money only came up when we separated.
I'm not interested in that explanation. September 8th, you said I'm going to give you back all the money that I owe you.
And I was referring to the car.
How many more months do you have to pay her out?
About between 30 and 36.
You mean to pay to the bank?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm willing to do that.
You're slick. Tell me about the things that you purchased for the house, because you're entitled to have your say. I'm not interested in what you have to say. I'm interested in what he has to say right now. Oh. Tell me about the things that you purchased for the house and how that came about.
Okay. I had furniture, I had a TV, whatnot, blah, blah. You know, she's like, well, this is old stuff.
Were you dating at the time?
Yes.
When did you move?
December of 2001. Well, we had broken up 3 times since then, but we were still dating.
You were dating in December of 2001 when you moved. Is that correct, Miss Bricker?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I had my furniture in there, but as she says, it was old, so she offered to get new furniture. I said, okay. And she knew my situation. She knew that I was going through a divorce and that I'm paying child support for 3 other children. I'm raising my 2 daughters by myself. So she offered to buy this furniture among other items that I felt were considered gifts. Well, if you have money to go ahead and pay me back, then go ahead. I can't pay you all at once. It's okay. Just give me money when you can. Okay.
Is that what she said to you?
Yes.
And is that what you said to her?
Yes.
So you were paying her back for the furniture?
Yes, if I had...
Shh! Listen to me. Just answer my question. You were paying her back for the furniture?
Yes.
Why did you stop?
Actually, I didn't stop, Your Honor.
Well, when was the last time you paid her any money for the furniture?
I would say probably in July.
Let me see.
Well, here's a bank statement, too, that shows the highlighted parts, or the things that are highlighted is the payments that I put into her account.
Okay, you made the car payment, so the last time you made payment was you're right, in July. For the other things.
Yes. Can I say something?
No! Because you're all over the place, sir. You have to have a defense. Your defense is either it was a gift, or your defense was that I don't have any more money, but you say it was a gift, but I did make payments. You don't make payments on a gift.
I was giving her money because that's what she asked for.
You were giving her money for a long time.
That's what I want to say. The only time when she asked for something is when we broke up. Everything was okay when we're together. And when we broke up, it's like, I want my car back.
How many children do you have?
5.
Is that her fault?
No, it's not her fault.
It's not her fault, sir, if you have to work 5 jobs because you made 5 children. It's not her fault. You don't take on responsibilities, borrow money that you can't pay back. You don't make more children than you can afford to take care of. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
She wanted the car back when we...
I didn't ask you anything else. Does this $38.42 include the car?
Yes. I subtracted the payment.
Just answer my question.
Yes,
does that say yes?
Yes, it does include the car.
Car and the furniture?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $38.42. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You get involved with somebody, you make mistakes, you come from an honest place, and they don't.
Next time you get a girlfriend like that, make sure you have everything in writing.
Yeah, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Cantway versus Tyler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cantway, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
According to your complaint, she has a car that belongs to you that she refuses to return. And at some point in a dispute over the use of that car, your sister assaulted you. Your sister says that the car is hers, you gave it to her, and that she never laid a hand on you. If anything, she was trying to protect you from yourself. So, Ms. Cantway, tell me how it came to be that your sister actually had possession of your car, because clearly the car is in her possession.
Yes. Last year, July 30th of last year, we decided to write up an agreement. I needed to borrow some money. I was having financial difficulties due to personal situation, and we were going to write up the financial agreement that she was going to loan me the money and use the car. There were other circumstances behind it that she needed help.
Listen to me. Relax. You're going to have a turn to speak. You understand? So sometime last year, you were going to write up an agreement.
We did write up an agreement.
Can I see it, please? Now, when did you write up this agreement?
7/30/01.
And what happened? Signed this agreement that you would let her use your 1991 Toyota Tercel and keep it as collateral for $600 loan. You say the loan never came about?
No, the loan never came about.
So, what happened next?
Well, a couple of months went by. We had talked about it a little bit. The situation was good for her at that point because the car that she had been driving, she sold because it was unsafe. She did help me watch my kids, and it was a safe car for her to be able to drive around in. I did have another vehicle at the time.
Where had you gotten this car from?
My mother gave me this car.
When?
Back in 1995.
And you had another car?
At the time that my sister was using mine, yes.
What kind of car did you have?
1996 Camaro.
So what happened a year later?
Well, we had had a few discussions about the car. She was perfectly aware of the situation, that the car was to be used by her, not owned by her. She knew.
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay, well, as far as my understanding, she knew.
Just don't tell me what she knew.
In February of the following year, I told her that my Camaro is going to have to go. I'm filing bankruptcy. Well, something happened to the Camaro prior to them repoing it on the bankruptcy anyway, but either way, it was going to go. I told her I have to have the vehicle back. We discussed being able to work out terms of sharing the vehicle so that neither one of us would be without a car.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Cantway. There came a time when you signed over the pink slip to the car to your sister.
Yeah.
When was that?
I think that was probably about a month later, maybe.
A month later when? A month later in?
From the time that we signed the agreement.
So at the end of August?
Yes.
Now, could you explain to me why you signed over the pink slip to your sister?
Because at the time, I did not have a driver's license, and in order to insure the vehicle, it was extremely expensive. The insurance
What do you mean
company,
you didn't have a driver's license? You told me that you had a...
Yeah, I had a car, but that doesn't mean I drove it.
You told me that you had another car that you were driving.
I didn't drive it. I had another car.
Why weren't you driving it?
I didn't have a license.
Why not?
I made a mistake. Something I had to pay for. Has nothing to do with the situation of why I don't have my Tercel now.
If it has anything to do with drinking, it has to do with the situation, because your sister says part of the problem was you're drinking, driving at the same time, and that the altercation that you had that resulted in you say you getting assaulted had to do with her trying to protect you and your children. So what I'm asking you is, you said you'd made a mistake that had anything to do with a DUI that you received.
Yes, ma'am, it did have to do with a DUI.
Okay. So at the time that you gave her the pink slip for the car, that allowed her to put the car in her name.
For insurance purposes.
No. No. That's prima facie evidence of a gift. If you turn over the pink slip, it says that you are now the owner of the car.
I thought I was getting a loan.
But you didn't get the loan.
I didn't get a loan. I gave her time to give me the money. She's supposedly getting a settlement. I needed the money to pay my attorney. She never got a settlement. I never got any money. So I was without my vehicle and without a loan.
So are you telling me, but for the fact that this transaction never took place, you would have sold her your car for $600?
No, collateral.
Well, let us say that she never gave you the money.
Which never happened.
You never took your collateral back because you had already...
I tried.
Right.
I tried.
Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on to this assault that you allege.
July 4th, my sister I knew was going to the Baptist church with my mother for the fireworks show, so I called and said that I was going to come and use the car in order to take my children to the fireworks. I received a phone call back that I am not allowed to use the car unless I ask nicely. So I drove over to the house to find out what was wrong, what was going on. We ended up getting into an argument about the agreement, about the car. She grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and went down the stairs to get into the vehicle. I sat in the passenger seat, and I turned it off. I said, you're going to...
No, just a minute. She ran downstairs, and you followed her.
I walked downstairs, followed her, yes.
Go ahead.
I turned off the ignition. As I did that, she reached over, grabbed my hand, scratched up my hand right here. I threw the keys out the window as kind of just a response to being grabbed. She started to claw at me. I threw up my hands, grabbed her wrists, and asked her to stop. What are you doing, is what I said.
Okay, Miss Tyler, I'll hear you.
When we did the agreement, I was the one that did that. I said, Serena, I want to give you something for the car. She said, look, I'll sign over the pink slip. I really don't want the money. But I went ahead and did that anyway.
No, that's not what happened, Miss Tyler. Just pay careful attention to me. That's not what happened. Not unless you can show me that the pink slip to the car was signed over on July 30th.
This was signed over on September the 14th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So it wasn't signed over on July 30th. Well, let's get your story together.
Okay. So anyway.
Now let's start from the beginning so that you can hopefully get your story together properly. Your best defense is the truth. I want you to understand that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. And she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Catway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
You signed this piece of paper.
Right.
You signed it.
Right.
This piece of paper says you're getting this car as collateral towards a loan for $600 in which I will repay her at $25 a month. That's what this says.
Oh, that is not the one. I don't have a copy of that.
Really? Oh, show this
no,
to her. I'm
I don't.
sorry.
I don't.
Show that to
Your
her,
Honor.
please. Do you have that?
This is not the one, Serena.
Oh, wait, do you have...
No, I don't have a copy of this.
No, not, do you have a copy of any agreement that you signed?
No.
Okay, but you never signed that?
No.
Good. Can I have it, please?
That is the agreement, Your Honor.
Okay. I
There
don't
is
know
no
that
other
at all.
agreement.
I don't know that at all. Go ahead.
So, on September the 14th, my sister signed over the title of the car.
Tell me about the conversation that you had
I
with her.
did tell her I did want to give her some money for the car. This was before she signed this over. I said, I don't feel right about it. But she said, don't worry about it. Mom got the car for me, and it's like a family heirloom. I'm going to pass it down to you.
That's not true.
Okay. Can I see the pink slip?
I've never called the car a family heirloom.
Go ahead.
So then after this, I was always driving her kids around because she had 2 DUIs. So I was doing that for her. And I think it was a few months after that, Serena had mentioned that she was behind on her Camaro payments. And so it was not too long after that that she totaled the Camaro. And
I didn't total the Camaro.
Yes, you did, Serena.
Ms. Tyler, just talk to me.
She totaled the Camaro. She didn't have any insurance. The car was going to be repossessed. So she hid the car in the garage for 3 weeks, and she went down and she got an insurance company to insure the car. When her boyfriend got back from Spain, they went and they told the insurance company that he was the one that was driving it, so she
Your
wouldn't
Honor.
get in trouble because she didn't have a license. So then
I was
she
filing
made
bankruptcy. I'm sorry, but I was going to lose the car. I did not wreck it.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, okay. Then after this, it was like a few weeks after that, her and her girlfriend came up to the house.
You're talking about the incident in July?
No,
July
ma'am.
4th?
She's talking.
This was in the spring of 2002 when she wrecked the Camaro.
Okay, she wrecked the Camaro.
Right,
Go
and
ahead.
it was like 2 weeks after that. I was sitting on the front porch, and her and her friend came over, and a friend of hers was outside talking to me, and Serena went in the house, and she said, you need to give the car back to Serena. And I said, what are you talking about?
And what did you do to her?
And I said,
Miss
what are you...
Catway,
I'm sorry,
I don't
ma'am.
want to hear you.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said, I says, what are you talking about? And she says, you need to give that car back to Serena. And I says, this is an agreement between me and Serena. It's really none of your business. And I asked her to leave. And then she got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. So I called the cops and asked her to please leave.
Who said that to you, the friend?
Yeah, her
Okay,
friend of
a
hers.
friend. Keep going.
So then I asked, Serena was there, and I came out. I said, Serena, what is... I called the cops because I said, you got to get this woman off my property.
Okay.
So then I told Serena, I says, what is the deal with the car?
Don't interrupt her.
I'm not interrupting.
She didn't
I was raising
interrupt.
my hand.
No. She didn't interrupt you while you were testifying.
Yes.
When she did once, I told her to be quiet, and she waited. That's what I'm telling you. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yes.
I don't have to say it again. It irritates me to be irritated.
I'm sorry to irritate you.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Catway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
Keep going.
So then I confronted Serena because she was there, and I said, what is the deal with the car? What is this about this contract that you're talking about? And she says, well, I was using that against Scott in case he wanted to get his hands on the car. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And I want the car back after you get your settlement. And I'm thinking, and I told Serena, I says, well, Serena, I don't know why you...
What settlement, Ms. Tyler, is she talking about?
Because I have a workman's comp settlement. I broke my neck, and I'm still recovering from that.
Would you tell me, please, what happened on the 4th of July of 2002?
Yes, Serena wanted to borrow the car, and she had borrowed the car 5 days in a row because I know she was out of vehicle, and I was trying to do the nice thing for her.
And you had your driver's license back at that time?
Oh, yes, she did get it back, yeah. So, but during that week, she had, I know this for a fact, because she left the house and she drove the car twice drunk, and she let somebody else drive the car. So and during that evening on the 3rd, I was sitting on the porch with family members. They were concerned. They said, you're going to have to not let Serena drive the car. So I said, well, I know this is going to be a problem. So the next day when she asked me to use the car, I said, honey, I got errands to run. I said, I'll try to arrange a ride for you, and we'll try to see what we can work out. Well, then she came over shortly after our conversation on the phone, extremely upset with me, yelling and screaming. I said, Serena, quit yelling at me. And then she brought up the contract, the $600. She kept it up, and I said, I've got to get away from here. So I grabbed my keys, and I began to go down the stairs. She followed me. She got in the car. She grabbed the keys. We were like this, and she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window. And then when I waited, I had a second set of keys. When she went back upstairs, I got in the car, rolled the windows, and I took off, and I went to my cousin's house. And I left town. I left town the following week because I got tired of the abuse, and I moved to Napa.
Ms. Cantway, I'm certainly hearing two diverse stories.
I see that, yeah.
My job is made very easy by the fact that neither of you dispute the fact that you signed over the pink slip to this car, not conditionally, not as a lien holder, but for all purposes to your sister. If you had signed it over to her and been a lien holder for $600, because that was the condition of giving it to her, that she would pay you $600 or give you $600, there would have been a lien on the car for $600.
Yeah.
But you did not. You signed it over so that she is now the owner of that car.
Yep.
So your lawsuit with regard to the return of the car is dismissed. With regard to the assault, since I find that this was her car and you had absolutely no right to get into her car, to pull the keys out of the ignition, to stop the car.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. She says it's because you had either let someone else drive the car or
nobody else
family
drove the
I'm
car.
speaking, or people told her that you were driving the car while you were intoxicated. And if it's her car in her name, she is liable for anything that happens to the car. In any event, you had no right to get into the car, pull the ignition keys out, toss them out, and if she scratched your hand at the time that you were struggling over the car keys, she has a right to do that.
Yes.
Because it's her car.
I had driven the car drunk, Your Honor.
No, it doesn't make any difference.
I took the dog to the vet to be put down, and I picked his daughter up from school.
Let's say you weren't driving the car drunk. You still have absolutely no right to get into her car and touch her property, and she has the right to use whatever force is necessary to get your hands off the ignition keys. And if she scratched your hand while she was doing it, she scratched your hand. That's it. I mean, it's certainly very sad
She neglected to mention to you what she did to the other girl who was supposedly so belligerent at her house. The other girl mentioned, why don't you give the vehicle back to Serena? It is her car. You know what she did to that girl? She grabbed her by the bottom of her neck and scratched her all the way up to her ears.
Now, if this person that you brought to the house said something to her about her child who was murdered in the course
they
of
said nothing about that.
You were inside. You were inside. You were not outside.
I was outside.
No, I don't. Ms. Cantway,
the porch.
I don't
right
believe
there.
a whole lot of what you're telling me. What I do believe is that you gave your sister your car because you had another car. You had no use to have for this second car. You had a newer car.
I wish
the
I was
newer,
that
I'm
rich.
speaking. The newer car got repossessed. You said, I want my car back. She said, I'm not giving you your car back. She said, but I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you. You use it when you need it, and I'll use it when I need it. And then you had an argument.
No.
And you want a court to resolve it as a family dispute. I don't intend to do that. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
just got a lot of animosity to me, and it really hurts my feelings, and I wish it didn't have to come to this.
I just found out the blood's not thicker than water.
She was demanding and wanted it back, and it wasn't just going to work out that way for her this time.
According to her, I'm the spoiled one that gets her way all the time. Well, obviously not, huh?
Maybe somewhere down the road we can settle it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Culp versus Deason. Step forward, please.
Jeffrey Culp and his wife Nancy are suing Nancy's daughter, 23-year-old telemarketer Christy Deason, for the cost to bail her out of jail and for an unpaid loan to get back on her feet.
Mr. and Mrs. Culp, this is your daughter. Is that right?
My stepdaughter.
And how long have you been married to her mother?
We've been married for 9 years, been together a total of 16.
And how old was Miss Deason when you came into her life?
8 years old.
Is that right? Yes. Your lawsuit says that your daughter owes you some money for bail, and then some money that you loaned her to help her get back on her feet after a series of mishaps and missteps. The total of those loans is under $1,000.
That's correct.
Your daughter says that there was never an agreement to pay that money back. These were not loans. This was what family does for each other when they're in trouble. And Mr. and Mrs. Culp, I'm here to tell you that I've read your complaint, and quite simply, the complaint says she called you one night a year and a half ago from jail. She had been arrested for what?
Possession of marijuana.
And she said, please come and bail me out. You did.
That's correct.
And then later on, you loaned her money for some clothes and some startup money so that she could get on her feet. So, I have a question for you. I don't believe in going to court when you have family, mother, child, father, child, child against parent, unless it's so much money that it really is life-altering money. $987 doesn't come under the category, to me, of life-altering money for anybody. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
This is not life-altering money. So then, you tell me why you chose to make an issue of this money, and I'm sure there have been other monies, but why you chose to make an issue of this money rather than just saying, look, I'm not going to loan her any more money, I'm going to write this off. Explain that to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do take care of my son. I do not get child support.
Where's his father?
He doesn't help me.
Why doesn't he help you?
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey and Nancy Culp say their daughter, Christy Deason, owes for bail money and an unpaid loan.
Go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, the money is of little consequence. There has been a history of loans made to Christy. We put her into an apartment. We paid her utilities to get her set up on her own. I spent a year with her child in my custody, living in my home. I paid all of his expenses and his medical bills. We took care of all of his clothing, his food, his shelter. And these are all things that I did because I am a grandfather.
Where was she?
She lived in South Carolina at the time. She was unable to care for him. None of that I'm asking for. This is a case of teaching her some responsibility. I don't think that I or my wife should be responsible for taking care of stupid things like going to jail and fines. We did bail her out of jail. We did move her into our home. We bought her clothing. We set her up with a job. I gave her a car, and she never started the job the first day. She went back to South Carolina and back into her old life.
Where was your grandson all this time?
He was in my custody.
Now,
when she went back to South Carolina, she did take him back with her.
How is he doing?
He's doing very well right now.
Good. With his mother?
That's correct.
Good. And what are you doing now?
I'm a telemarketer, and I wait tables in evenings.
Who takes care of your son?
The school. I got it arranged where I work on the weekends, waiting tables at night, and he goes to his grandmother's house on his father's side.
Where's his father?
He's in South Carolina as well, but he doesn't help me at all.
Well, what does he do?
He sells cars.
Why doesn't he help you?
I don't know. He's court ordered too, and he switched jobs.
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Oh. Good.
Yeah.
He's useless.
Right.
Would it be a fair statement, Mr. Culp, that your daughter seems to be putting things in order at this point?
She is. She is trying. She's maintaining a home. She maintains my grandson. She works 2 jobs.
Great. So why now have you decided to bring this lawsuit?
Because Christy and I have had this conversation over and over again throughout the past year. I have asked her to, if need be, pay $5 a week toward what she owes. You know?
And, Christy, let me hear.
I just don't have the money. I pay all my bills by myself. I do take care of my son. Like I said, I do not get child support, so I just don't have the money.
Well, let me ask you this question. Sounds to me as if your stepfather has been more like a father to you. Fair statement?
Right.
And what it sounds to me is that both your stepfather and your mother are saying they don't really care about money. They would like you to make some sort of a showing of responsibility. So even if you sent them $5 a month, which you can afford, believe me, you blow that on nonsense, right?
Right.
$5 a month, $1 a week, right?
Right.
A couple of cents a day. They would like you to say to them, by that demonstration, I'm acknowledging that I am responsible for these things, my fines, my bail, the things that I did to get myself into trouble. You have a problem with that?
Well, I think, I helped my parents out when he was in time of need. I was 16. I was going to school. I was working in the evenings after school. I would give them my check every week to help pay bills. And I figured I did this for 2 years. When I helped them, I figured that in a time
Were
of
you
need,
also living in the house?
I was.
Were you also
Your
eating?
Honor, we're talking about a 16-year-old child that worked 10 to 12 hours a week in a fast food restaurant and brought me $20 to feed her and her child.
I worked more than that.
Fine. How much money did you give them?
It was almost $200 every week. Because I worked all day on Saturday and Sundays. And then during the week, after school, I would go in at 5 and I wouldn't get out of there until 11 o'clock at night.
And who was taking care of your son?
My parents did help until my dad couldn't do it anymore and my guidance counselor decided to help me.
But they did, for a while.
Right.
Quite a while, Your Honor.
How long is quite a while?
We did this for 2 years.
Now, Miss Deason, what I'm suggesting to you is that you were found guilty and were arrested for the commission of a crime. It may have been at your time of need, but when a court says, I want you to pay this fine, they don't mean I want your parents to pay the fine. You're supposed to pay the fine to teach you a lesson. Do you understand? There's a difference. You're supposed to pay the fine so that it hurts you in the pocketbook, not so that it hurts them in the pocketbook, so that it hurts you. That's different from if the family loses a job or something and everybody has to pitch in a little bit more, or if you go have a baby when you're 15 years old so that the household needs more money so that you're helping out a little bit more and they're helping out a little bit more. That's what family does for each other. But when you commit a crime and you're ordered to pay a fine, it's supposed to hurt you. It's supposed to make you think twice about doing it again. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, in that regard, they're right. And I think that they would be happy with $5 a month, just as long as you're saying, I admit that I did something wrong, and I am going to be responsible by paying the fines for the crime that I committed. Fair?
Very fair, Your Honor.
Very good. On those terms, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $987. That's.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bowles versus Mitchell. Step forward, please.
24-year-old student Crystal Bowles is suing her former friend, 23-year-old waitress Tiffany Mitchell, for the return of a laptop computer. Tiffany says Crystal gave her the computer a year and a half ago.
Miss Bowles, Miss Mitchell was a friend of yours. You claim you loaned her a computer. She refuses to give it back. Miss Mitchell says it was a gift.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you known her?
I've known Tiffany since I was 10 years old, about 14 years.
Okay, so you've known her a long time.
Yes.
And when did you loan her this computer? Month and year?
February of 2001.
So a long time ago. And why did you loan her the computer?
She had enjoyed being on my desktop computer. I lived with her for a short period of time and...
Lived with her in her home?
Yes.
For how long?
30 days.
Were you between homes when you lived with her?
Yes.
Did she charge you rent?
Yes.
She did, for the 30 days? What did she charge you?
I believe it was $200.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. My boyfriend was the one that charged her.
Okay, so you lived there for 30 days. She enjoyed working on your computer, and?
And when I moved out, I agreed that she could use my laptop computer for $20 a month. I was still paying on the computer, and that was the minimum payment.
You'd bought the computer on time?
Yes.
How much was left on it when you moved out in February of 2001?
Around $500.
So you paid off the computer $20 a month?
Yes, that was my minimum payment.
Okay. Now, she had the computer for a long time.
Yes.
How come you wanted it back a year and a half later?
I started going to school again, and I'm taking 2 internet classes, and I need a laptop computer for the internet classes. Like when I'm not at home, I can just hook in.
Between February of 2001 and 2 months ago, had you ever asked for the computer back?
No.
Had you ever complained to her that she hadn't made the payments?
No.
So let's hear the story. She says you want the computer for your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No. I need it for myself.
All right, Miss Mitchell. Let me hear your version of these events.
Okay. I received the computer, as she said, in February, and I haven't heard anything all the way until recently, 2 months ago. We were talking on the computer, and she says, I don't know how to say this, but my boyfriend needs the computer for school. He's taking classes. And I said, but I thought you gave it to me. She goes, well, I let you use it. And I was like, for a year and a half, you let me use it? You didn't ask for it back since? And I was like, well, at least until I can get another computer, I'll give it back to you. But until then, I'm like, I pay payments on it to get the internet service, and plus it's kind of broke right now. It has duct tape all wrapped around it, and I told her that it's not really usable. It don't prop up or anything.
So, Ms. Bowles, I'm going to ask you the question again. Do you need the computer, or does your boyfriend need the computer?
I need the computer.
Do you have a boyfriend who also needs a computer?
No.
Why would she say that you wrote her an email indicating, I don't know how to tell you this, but my boyfriend needs a computer? Why would she say that?
Because me and Tiffany are very close friends, and I was worried that she would get upset with me for asking for the computer back because I know how much she enjoys it.
Well, because you gave it to her. Yes, you did. Sure you did. When you left, you had another computer. Is that right?
Yes.
When you left, you had another computer, and you weren't using this laptop. You said, here, take this one. It's old, and I don't use it.
I'm a full-time college student. I'm a single mother. I wish I had the abilities to give my friends laptops, but I don't.
You gave her one. Case is dismissed.
That's this case number 3. Now, this is case number 173 on the calendar in the matter of White versus Dreyer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss White, the defendant is your former husband. You were married for a long time, 20
years.
20 years. And I gather from your papers that you had a rather acrimonious divorce.
Yes.
This case has to do with a car, an old car, that you were awarded in the judgment of divorce.
Correct.
So why don't you tell me the story about the car and what you're suing him for?
I was awarded the 1991 Hyundai in the divorce settlement.
And at the time that you were awarded the car in the divorce settlement, where was the car located physically?
It was at our home.
You say at our home, pointing to him. Did he stay in the home?
No, I stayed in after the divorce was filed. I stayed in the home for 6 weeks afterwards.
With him?
Right.
And then you left?
Yes. I left the home.
And left the car there?
No, I took the car with me.
Okay.
It was agreed that we would leave the car in his name. And then we had agreed that my son, our younger son, who was living with his father, would get the car in January when I bought a new car.
And this you discussed with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
So what did you do with the car?
Our youngest son came to live with us in February after having problems with his father. And
came to live with you?
Yes. And his father became very angry, vindictive.
Where's the car all this time?
I had the car at that time.
You had the car?
My son was driving it in January. It broke down in June. It sat there on my property for a couple months. Our oldest son had come over to my house, asked if he could have the car. I said, sure, take the car. His dad does a lot of rebuilding of the vehicles. So he towed the car to his father's house where he was living.
Your oldest son's name is?
Jonathan Dreyer.
Okay, so Jonathan takes the car. It's been in your possession, but titled in your husband's name, despite the fact that you were awarded the car in the judgment of divorce. Oldest son takes the car from your new residence and brings it back to his father's house.
Correct.
Is he living with his father?
Yes, he is.
Is that right so far?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In June, Jonathan and the car are back at the father's house, June 01. Go ahead.
So it was after he had towed the car, he called me and says, I have to get the title from you because your dad doesn't want the car up here without the title. So I said, fine, here's the title.
Okay, so you gave Jonathan the title.
Right.
Okay, so now, good.
So that was the last I'd heard about the car until May 5th, when I get a notice that he has had the car illegally put into my name.
Well, no, he hasn't had it illegally put in your name. He transferred it to your name. He was supposed to do that a long time ago.
Right, but what he had done was fraudulent, the way he had done it and what he had planned to do with it.
Well, let's see what happened. So he had put the car in your name and then?
Called it in as abandoned.
Okay, and then they came and towed it?
Yes.
And you were sent a bill from the county for how much?
The ending bill was $786.
And that's what you want?
Well, they did eventually sell the vehicle and got $60 out of it for auction.
So $726.
Correct.
And you feel as if he should be responsible for that bill?
Yes, I've got pictures here that show, I mean, this is what he does for a living. He repairs and rebuilds cars.
Okay. Well, he doesn't necessarily have to do that with this car. I want to get his version of the events. Go ahead.
Well, my one son who got the car did not take possession of the car in January because when he moved out, he had a car that I had given him, which was an '84 Volkswagen Scirocco, at which time I had to put in a report of sale and transfer it to him.
I'm talking about the 1991 Hyundai. Let's get there. Jonathan brings it back.
Jonathan brought it to my house.
To your house in June.
When I got home from work.
With your permission?
No, was not with my permission.
Okay. Did you tell him to take it right back?
Yes, I did.
But he didn't?
No, he did not.
Okay. At that time, did you notify your former wife, you better come and get this car?
I could not notify her because of a restraining order which she had against me, which I have right here with me.
Yes.
Which thoroughly states that I have no contact with her whatsoever.
When you were divorced, did you have a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
Then you call your lawyer and you say to your lawyer, send her a letter indicating she better come and get the car. Then you're not having contact. Do you understand?
Right.
All right, so don't give me this. You're not an unintelligent man. There are many ways to deal with this kind of problem. Call your lawyer and say, I don't want this car on my property. It's her car. I'm turning it over to her. She's got the car. It's off my property. But you didn't do that. So what happened? So it sat there for how long?
It sat there until I had it towed on the 5th of May. It was the only thing that I could possibly do with the car because I had no interest in that car per divorce decree. And the only thing possibly I could do is make sure that it was in her name, which I didn't know it was not in her name because of the fact that she had to have been able to license that in February of 2001. And in order to do that, she would have to have signed the registration to do that.
So she signed your name. She probably did that over the last 20 years,
Yes.
100
No,
times.
he gave me the registration. It came in his mail that he handed over to me.
So it's that's very possible.
So I put in, by law, a report of sale, which I did not have to do because it already stated in the divorce decree that it was her car.
Who are you?
I'm a companion of Sherry.
I don't want to hear from you yet, if ever.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She started to get very vindictive against my girlfriends. She even emailed to one of my girlfriends just to break us up.
This is a lie.
And later today,
I'm not holding it against you that you did not dress for court today, but I think that you can get a leg up if you speak up, speak from your diaphragm. Don't swallow your words. You got it? Speak up, speak from your diaphragm. Don't swallow your words. You got it?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry White says ex-husband Dale Dreyer illegally towed her vehicle and then had it impounded.
Go ahead. You put the car in her name, then you
I did not put the car in her name. I just put in a report of sale saying that the car was hers as of November. And at that point, I had the car towed. I put in a 72-hour notice in the window, which is required.
You put in
the window of the car.
Listen to me. You put in a 72-hour notice in the window of a car that's on your property.
Correct.
And then you had it towed.
Then I had it towed. That is all what's required in the state of Washington. People who own the car do not have to be notified. It just has to be put in the window of the car.
How long did your divorce take? 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2
No, our
years?
divorce was final in 90 days. And it was a good divorce. In fact, we used the same lawyer. It wasn't until January when she started to get very vindictive against my girlfriends, where she even emailed from the work computers to one of my girlfriends just to break us up. She's been doing this since we've been divorced.
This is a lie.
Don't you think it would have been the smarter thing to do, instead of having the car towed off your property, to have it towed onto her property?
She would have still got the towing bill, and it still would have came back to me.
Maybe. Maybe. And maybe not. But right now, she's got a bill of $726.
Correct.
Because you really didn't do the right thing.
It is the only thing I could do.
No. What you could have done to protect yourself was get in touch with the lawyer that you both used and say, look, I have this car, And if she doesn't make arrangements to come and get this car off my property, I am going to have it towed. I don't want to look at it anymore.
Which would have been more expenses for me, Your Honor.
You mean to write a letter?
For the
Or
lawyer
to call
write-
her? No. No, come on.
My lawyer charges me $185 an hour, Your
Well,
Honor.
that's all right. This would have taken all of 3 minutes.
The restraining order.
This would have taken all of 3 minutes.
Correct, Your Honor.
So as a result of what you did, she's got this bill. You think that's reasonable? You're the father of her children. She's the mother of your children. You're not supposed to do things to hurt each other. Either one of you.
Correct.
You're not supposed to do things to hurt each other. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. Whether it be 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, doesn't work out, you say, sorry, but you don't do things to hurt each other because that puts your kids in the middle. Is Jonathan still living with you?
No, Your Honor.
When did he leave?
He left approximately 2 weeks ago.
Where did he go?
Unknown.
You don't know where he went?
No, I don't.
Do you know where he went?
Yes, I do. He's living with his girlfriend and her family.
How old is he?
He's 20.
Did you have an argument with him?
Yes, I did.
Do you see your youngest son?
Yes, I do.
He comes over to visit?
He's called me numerous times in the last month and a half.
Has he come over to visit?
Yes, he has.
So there's not a problem with him?
Yes and no. I can't answer that. The reason is yes, there is a problem with him, but I am dealing with the problem.
Okay. Well, deal with this better. You're going to give your former wife $726 because you didn't do the right thing in having a car that you knew that she would not see the sign that you put in the window. You complied with the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law was that you notify the person whose car it is that if they don't move the car, you're going to have it towed. That's the spirit of the law. That's the substantive part of it. What you did with, you complied with the letter of it with full knowledge that she would never see that notice and therefore never be able to reclaim the car. Whether she wanted to reclaim it or not, she may not.
Can I interrupt? Your Honor, I have a statement here from the Department of Motor Vehicles stating that she had 15 days to convert the title over into her name. And if it was not done within 45 days, it is actually considered a misdemeanor.
Listen
and she
to me.
never did it. It is
Listen
still
to
at
me.
this date isn't.
Listen to me, sir. There was originally an agreement that I believe that your youngest son wanted the car. He took it, then he decided he didn't want it. The oldest son said, I want it. He brought the car to your... Listen to me. Your oldest son brought the car to your house. After a while, you said to him, I don't want it here, but he never did anything about it with taking it back to his mother. You knew the whole derivation of the story. It wasn't that she had the car towed to your house and left it there to annoy you. It was brought there by your children. That's how it got there, by your children. So don't show me things that are underlined that says she has 10 days or 15 days to convert it into her name. The idea was to let your kids have a car. And what you did was vindictive. Yeah, you have a counterclaim. You want her to pay $1 a day for storing the car for 122 days. That's ridiculous. You knew how it got there, and you should have done the right thing. You didn't. It's going to cost you $726 because I don't think she should be responsible for it. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you.
Why does our excuse you may step out?
I think it's a bunch of baloney that she didn't follow the laws.
I hope this ends it all with this man.
It's just another win for a vindictive lady against me that she's been at me ever since the divorce.
I want nothing to do with him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Valero. Step forward, please.
Home health care provider Greg Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, insurance claims assistant Christina Valero, for an unpaid loan. Christina says Greg forgave the loan when they began dating.
Mr. Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was in some financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for rent. The loan was for, I think, $2,300.
Yes, ma'am.
You were paid back $200 from a relative of hers.
Yes, ma'am.
With an outstanding balance of $2,100.
Yes, ma'am.
However, she says that you forgave that loan after you started dating. Is that what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you meet her, Mr. Brown?
Early September.
Of what year?
2001, ma'am.
And when did you make this loan for the rent and under what circumstances?
She came to me, she gave me a phone call and said that she was going to be thrown out of her apartment. I gave her the loan under the conditions that she would sign an IOU and pay me back.
Can I see it, please? I assume that's the piece of paper you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I typed that letter, and
I wasn't speaking to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, as we persisted on our friendship, grew into a relationship, the relationship was quite expensive. She was constantly asking for money. $100 here, $100 there. I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally. So she had told me that she was going to a dinner party with her company in Santa Rosa, and she was supposed to come back that night.
When was that, sir?
That was September 28th, I believe.
Still during the month of September?
Yes, yes. She refused to come back because she said she fell asleep in her car and was there all night. Well, I'm not exactly a fool, so I figured that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. At that time, I figured her irresponsibility to the relationship was not what I was looking for, so I dismissed it.
So you terminated the relationship?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you asked her back for the money?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'll hear from you, Miss Valero.
We started as friends, and I was in a financial difficulty at that time, and he offered that he would help us.
Who's us?
My daughter, my sister-in-law here, my son.
Go ahead.
I even typed a promissory note thinking that I would, I would really pay him. And then he said, we went out to dinner and he said he's interested in me. And we started dating, and then he gave me a promise ring, which is this.
All in the month of September?
Yes.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then on my birthday, he gave me this.
When's your birthday?
December.
Now we're jumping to December.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole month of November, we were fine. Then we broke up for maybe 2-3 weeks because of that incident that I went out with my friends.
Could you get to your defense, please? I'm really anxious.
He promised to marry me. He asked me to marry him.
Yes. When did he ask you to marry him?
Like November.
And what did you say?
And I said, okay, we'll, if our relationship is going good,
I'm waiting for the defense.
Please. Finally, all of a sudden, he told me that his mother died. I tried calling him and calling him.
I'm getting weak. Would you tell me what your defense is, madam?
There is no
He disappeared on me.
Yes.
And he told me that when we're together, the loan is gone.
He said if the relationship gets that deeper, you don't have to pay me back the money.
Yes.
So it didn't get that deep. So you have to pay him back the money. What is so hard to understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it got deeper because we tried looking for a house and we were talking about marriage.
So?
He even put away an engagement ring for me.
It sounds like he was a very nice man. He's not asking you for the jewelry back.
He is.
No, he isn't. Not in this lawsuit.
Yes, he told my sister-in-law here.
He's not asking for it. Listen, this is his one shot at a lawsuit. He's not asking for the jewelry back. He knows that was a gift.
That's right.
He knows he can't get the jewelry back. Jewelry that looks very nice on you and I'm sure you enjoy wearing. This was a loan. And if he forgave the loan, what you do is you say, if you forgive the loan, Greg, if you forgive the loan, could I have the IOU back that I signed and I typed, and I'd like to rip it up. We'll have a ripping up IOU party. That's what you do when he forgives the loan. Meanwhile, you have to pay him back his money. Stop being a gold digger and a taker. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 226 on the calendar in the matter of Yankowski versus Schaefer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Yankowski, you rented a room from the defendant. It was a short-term arrangement. You weren't happy. He wasn't happy. You claim he owes you money. That money is from your security deposit, which he didn't return. And you also want a whole bunch of punitive damages. Because how much was your security deposit?
$450.
$450. But you're suing him for $2,000 because you say he aggravated you. He says that you're a troublemaker, that you used up your security deposit because you made a big mess. And he's counterclaiming for $1,600 because he says you owe him for rent, punitive damages, you caused him to lose a tenant, and you aggravated him. So he wants a whole bunch of money from you. Don't people know how to, if things don't work out, just to go their separate ways and say goodbye?
If they did, we wouldn't be in business.
When did you rent the room, Miss Yankowski?
I moved in on June 8th.
You found them through an ad in the paper, through
through a rental service. You pay money, they give you a listing.
How much was the security deposit?
$450.
Is that right so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the rent for the room?
The rent for the room was $450 plus utilities.
How long did you stay?
A month.
And you paid for the month that you were there?
Yes.
During that time, he gave you a 30-day notice to leave?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you keep her security deposit?
First of all, she caused some damages to my home.
Tell me.
After I gave her the 30 days notice, she was going around slamming cabinet doors that were just remodeled, and they bent.
The cabinet doors bent?
Yes.
What kind of substance did you remodel them with?
Wood.
And she bent the wood? Mr. Schaefer.
I can show you easier than I can tell you. Sure. And she also left water on the floor during her showers. Here's the cabinet door that she bent. And this is also, she was throwing away the silverware in the trash after I gave her notice.
Did you slam this door and cause this damage?
No, I didn't.
What makes you think she did that, sir?
I was in the room when she did it. I watched her do it.
Show me how she did that. Describe to me how she did that.
She was going under the sink. She took the door and slammed it.
Yeah?
That's what she did. And
No,
that's
that doesn't happen as a result of slamming a door. No. What else?
The damage to the floor and the wall in the bathroom.
Let's take a look at that. Danielle refused to wipe up water after her showers. I had to do it for her. Water damage on the floor and wall. Looks like you didn't take really good care of his property.
There was a towel on the floor in the bathroom that I used every time I took a shower. There was also another female living in the house, and every time
Another tenant?
Yes.
Was the other tenant also using this bathroom?
Yes, she was.
Didn't have a different bathroom?
No.
Okay. Now, what else are you suing for? And let's make the other stuff fast, because I have a low tolerance level for nonsense.
Well, the entire time I was there, he pretty much made my life a living hell.
That's a good reason to move.
Yeah, with sexual harassment and...
Like what?
Like, we were watching that movie, Monsters Ball with Halle Berry. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but in that movie, she's naked. And he made the comment, oh, well, that's what your body looks like naked. I was just like, okay, how would you know? And he's just like, well, I can kind of tell.
True.
We were sitting at dinner one night, and he mentioned how big my breasts were and what they look like naked. I was on the phone with a guy one night. When I got off the phone, he's just like, oh, who is that? The only reason he'd be calling you is if he had sex with you. Use a different word. He told me that the only reason any guy would ever talk to me is if he had a sexual interest in me. One night I had a guy come over. He was coming over, he was going to pick me up, we were going to go out. The next morning he asked me, oh, so did you guys have sex? And it's just like little comments like that.
Did it bother you?
Oh, yeah.
Did he really irritate you?
Oh, yeah. And then
So you were planning on moving?
Yes.
Because he was acting like a jerk?
Yes.
He didn't touch you?
No.
Did he? He just made sexual innuendos. Like a jerk?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you met jerks like that before?
Yes.
It's not the last one you're going to meet.
I know. I know.
If he said it, and I don't know, Mr. Schaefer, I don't know if he said it, but if he said it, it's a jerk. You were going to move. He gave you a 30-day notice before you gave him notice. Goodbye. You get your security deposit back. Go and be happy. Anything else you want?
Well, I mean...
Anything else you want?
No.
Perfect. Now, what do you want?
First of all, I want her to pay for the damages to the house.
She's not paying for the damages to the house, sir.
Okay.
You had more than one tenant, and there is no way that I can tell which one of the two girls who showered got water on the wall.
Okay.
Next.
She moved her brother into my home, into her bedroom, and I told her that she wasn't allowed to sublease.
So?
So she was having her brother live there, and he was going to my neighbors, telling them that I was and slandering me.
What difference does it make with regard to this lawsuit if her brother was saying something? What does that have to do with her?
Because she brought him into my home.
Did you ever hear the expression, I am not my brother's keeper? That's from a very old book. Very old. Next.
She went to my tenant and was telling her things.
Where's your tenant?
She moved out with her.
Were you there when she made remarks to your tenant about you?
Yes.
Oh, good. What did you hear her say about you?
That I was making sexual remarks to her, which I wasn't. The only sexual remark that was actually said was when she was walking down the hallway. One day I asked her what was going on, and she said she came out of her bedroom saying that she was masturbating feverishly.
Oh my God.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I had no idea any of this was going on at all.
My mother was in tears. I was in tears.
I'm thinking my wife left me before I got married, but I don't know what's going on.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Yankowski says landlord Rick Schaefer owes for the return of her security deposit and for making inappropriate comments of a sexual nature.
Sir, I don't understand what you're suing her for.
Well, I lost a tenant because of her. She didn't know the tenant.
I have no idea whether you lost a tenant or not because of her. Tenant's not here. Even if it's true, the tenant wasn't happy, the tenant can leave. But you can't tell me the reason that the tenant moved because that's in somebody else's mind. I find that I cannot determine who caused the water splatter in the bathroom because you had more than one tenant using the bathroom. And her brother said things about you that were not nice. Is that right?
Yes.
So what do you want?
I didn't want her to bring anyone in the house in the first
So
place.
she did. So you evicted her, right?
Yes.
If you weren't unhappy with her, you wouldn't have given her a 30-day notice, right?
Right.
She was a good tenant and someone that you were satisfied with. Everything would have been cool, right?
Right.
So you did what you were supposed to do. Give her a 30-day notice and say, bye, return a security deposit, and you all go your separate ways. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $450. Your counterclaim is dismissed as nonsense. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was threatening me.
He figured that he wouldn't be able to sleep with me and, decided that he would harass me.
Be aware of little girls.
Beware of creepy old men.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martin versus Harrington. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Dana Martin is suing former friend, 20-year-old student Robin Harrington, for the cost of 2 tickets to a Britney Spears concert.
Don't get comfortable, Bert. Have everybody sit down.
Okay. Have a seat. Don't get comfortable.
Right.
Have a seat. Have a
Mr.
seat.
Martin, you purchased a couple of concert tickets for Britney Spears' concert, and you say you bought them for the defendant who said she wanted to go. Now she changed her mind, and you say you're stuck with the tickets, and you want her to pay the $250 for the tickets.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. When is the concert?
21st.
So the concert hasn't happened yet.
No, ma'am.
And she said, sure, get me a couple of tickets. You told her that the concert was in Chicago. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right.
No, ma'am. I told her we had gotten tickets in February for the concert in Chicago, and there were really bad seats behind the stage, so I sent those back. So we said that we would get tickets to the concert in Indianapolis when they went on sale. And she said, purchase me 2 tickets, so I did.
Just a second. Did you know that the concert was in Indianapolis?
No, I didn't.
Where did you think the concert was?
In Chicago.
Is that what they originally told you?
Exactly. He didn't tell me it was Indianapolis until he wanted me to pay for them.
All right. Where are the tickets now?
They're here.
How many people are going?
4.
Did you try to sell those 2 tickets?
I tried to get rid of them, but I couldn't.
But those are real good seats.
Yeah, they're really good seats.
Put them on eBay. Somebody's going to buy them. You pay $250 for them?
Right.
And they're...
No, I paid
listen,
100.
Go ahead.
I paid $170 for them, but I don't feel that I should have to exhaust myself trying to sell these tickets when we had an agreement that she was going to pay for these tickets.
Very good. Put them on eBay, sir. You got rid of the ones that were in Chicago because you said they weren't good enough seats. So you got real good seats this time?
We sent it. Yeah, we sent it.
Just a second. You got real good seats?
Yes, we did.
Put them on eBay. Case dismissed.
Yeah, this is case number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Veers Cooper versus Veers. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Tell me your first name.
Angela?
Angela. Person that you're standing next to is your guardian.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
She is also a relative of yours. Is that right?
Yes.
How is she related to you?
She's my aunt.
And the defendant is your adoptive mother.
Yes.
And she's also related to you in some way, biologically. Tell me about that.
She's my aunt.
She's another aunt.
Yes.
And I gather from reading the complaint that you've lived with a lot of different people. Is that right?
Yes.
And you went to live with and was subsequently adopted by the defendant, your aunt, when you were how old?
14.
How old are you now?
16.
And how long did you live with her in total?
Approximately about a year. Maybe a little less.
And it didn't work out?
No.
And ultimately you came back to live with your other aunt, who is now your guardian?
Yes.
With your permission?
Yes.
This case is about a settlement that you had. When you were a little girl, you were bitten by a dog, and there was a lawsuit and a settlement. How much was that settlement?
Settlement was $9,000.
And there were a couple of withdrawals from that settlement for some small items. Is that right?
Correct.
Way back when you were younger. What were those items?
One, I believe, was going to the dentist or the orthodontist, checking out what damages there was done after things had healed. And then the second time was to pay a back medical bill from when the dog bite happened.
And this lawsuit is about the remainder of that money, which was how much when you adopted her?
It was $9,000 when we went into the bank, got the savings, and put it into our name.
And in the year that she lived with you...
Actually, she lived with me a little bit longer.
How much longer?
We got her when she was 13, and
Okay.
she stayed with us until she was 15. And I went through a divorce, and I was starting to do a little bit of partying and wrong lifestyle for her. So that's when my sister came forward, and so I can get back on my feet again.
Ultimately, you took all of her money and spent it.
But I used it on her.
For what?
For clothes. When my ex and I adopted her, we weren't financially stable ourselves.
Then you shouldn't have adopted her.
Well, I did not want her to go into a foster home or anybody else. We wanted to keep her into our family.
Then you didn't have to adopt her. You could have taken her. You could have become her legal guardian.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, I don't care what you thought about, but when you adopt a child, you assume financial responsibility for the child. You can't take her money. What makes you think you can take her money?
But I understand that. I've been making payments for her dentist because I am reliable. So I've been making $90 monthly payments for her.
You took $9,000 of her money. How much was her dentist?
For her braces and stuff was $4,000.
Okay. Now, you could have left her money in this settlement account, in the minor account where it was, left that money there, and you could have petitioned the court. You say, I need some of this money to pay a dental bill, you know, because she needs orthodontia as a result of it. That's fine. And the court would have given you, in all probability, the ability to take out that money, $4,000. So you got 9, you take away 4, leaves $5,000. Then she would have had $5,000. What'd you spend the rest of the money on?
But we used that to get her school clothes and her accidentals that she needed.
You have to do that yourself. You're her mother. Once you adopt a child, you become her parent. This settlement money is her money. It's her money for her future. It's not your money to spend. Don't you understand that?
Yes.
Then why did you do it?
Because when we adopted her, we thought that money was ours, so we can use that for her.
Well, let me ask you this question. Who had she lived with before?
My sister.
This sister?
Yes.
Okay. And she had $9,000. And how long had she lived with your sister?
Until she was 13.
Fine. Did your sister take out her money?
No.
You knew that. She lived with your sister a long time. And she didn't take out money for clothes or incidentals or anything else. She paid for it.
But at the time, I also was married, and my ex insisted that we do that, and it's hard to say no. I mean, it's
hard to say no. You understood that Angela had lived with your sister most of a substantial portion of her life. She had this settlement money. The money was relatively intact. So all of a sudden, you adopt her. Quick, go to the bank, take out her money, and spend it. That's outrageous. I mean, I don't know what else to say to you, except to say that you're suing for the maximum amount of jurisdiction of this court, which is $5,000. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I know I was in the wrong.
I just hope we can all go back to the way things were before.
I'm just glad it's all done and over with.
All I ever wanted is to put things back the way they were.
Good. Oh.
21-year-old student Jessica Burdock is suing her former friend, 20-year-old cashier Jennifer Mayo, for shooting her in the face with a pellet gun. Jennifer says Jessica asked her to do it.
Ms. Burdock, the defendant is a friend of yours, or was a friend of yours.
Was.
And she shot you in the face.
Yes, she did.
With a pellet gun.
Mm-hmm.
Could you step up here? I'd like to look and see where the mark is from that.
I have this scar and an indent in my gum.
Well, the indent in your gum you don't see. Let me see the scar outside.
And no feeling in 2 teeth.
Okay, step back. I'd like you to tell me when this happened and under what circumstances.
It happened last year, July 7th, I believe. And we we're trying to wake him up, and then we brought him.
Let's start from where were you?
We were at my apartment.
How many people were there?
4 of us.
Did you all live together?
Joe and I did, and we had another roommate, and she was over visiting us.
Go ahead.
And we were looking for cameras to go get developed that day, and she found Joe's pellet gun. And she played around with it, and she pointed it at my face. And I said, don't point that at me. And she said, well, it's never loaded. And she shot it.
No. Shut up. Don't speak. Don't speak.
And I remember my hair went flying, and I had this really bad sting, and I covered my mouth. And she was like, did that hurt? And I moved my hand, and there was just, like, blood pouring out. And I started screaming and crying. And
what kind of medical treatment did you need?
I went to the hospital in the ambulance, and then they said that the pellet was lodged too far in my gum to be taken out, so I had to go have oral surgery.
Can I see your medical bills, please?
I also have a picture. There's a police report there also.
Take it away, Miss Mayo. Let's hear you now.
Okay, we had woke up that morning and we had started cleaning her apartment because she had her DHS lady coming to check on the apartment to see if it was all in order. So we were cleaning, and I picked up this pellet gun and said...
What'd you pick it up for?
All of our friends in previous days had passed around the gun to feel the CO2 pressure. That is what I knew it as, a CO2 gun. I had no idea it could carry anything else but CO2.
Shh, shh. Did you hear what I said? So, how old are you?
20 years old.
So you picked it up?
Yes.
How big is this gun? Where was it? Where did you have to get it from in order to pick it up?
It was on a table.
Go ahead.
And so I said, this is CO2 pressure. You want to feel what this is like? And she said, no. I said, well, it's not loaded. It can't carry anything but CO2. And so I said, here, you want to feel this? And she said, okay, go ahead. And so, and does it hurt? Oh, my God. And we were both hysterically crying.
Miss Mayo, that is such a crock that you just gave me. I believe that this was an accident. Listen to me. I believe that this is an accident, which is your defense, that it was an accident, that you didn't know that it was a pellet gun. But let's examine the circumstances of what you did. You picked up a gun like an idiot. You weren't sure what it was, like a fool. You pointed it at someone like a moron. And then you said to another human being who is a friend of yours, you want to see how this feels. She's smart enough to say, no. That's what you said. Then you fudged it a little. Because then you said, she said, all right, go ahead. Shoot me, pointing it at her face. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. No, that didn't happen. What happened was she said no, and you were fooling around because you really didn't think that it had a pellet in it. And even if you did think that it was more than that, you had no intention of hurting her, who should pay these bills?
I have no problem paying these bills.
Good. Oh, perfect. So
Well,
then what are we doing here? Good. You do something irresponsible, you have to pay. Our medical bills are $1,278 for your stupidity. I'm tacking on another $2,000. $3,278. That's all. Step out.
Yeah, this is case number 167 on the calendar in the matter of Marin versus O'Neill. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Marin, the defendant used to be your boyfriend, and according to what I've read in your complaint, you claimed 2 loans to him. One to enable him to buy a car, and the second one after he wrecked the car to have the car fixed.
That's correct.
The defendant says that the car was a gift. He did acknowledge in his answer that there was a loan to fix the car, but he said most of that loan was paid back, with the exception of several $100s that he didn't pay back because of an incident involving your current boyfriend. So let's get to the car itself. When was this loan, according to you, for the car, and why?
Well, basically, when we started our relationship in August of the year 2000, and then he has expressed to me how he had a current car at that time, but he wanted a newer car. You know, he wanted to fix his life, so I wanted to help him become somebody. I wanted to help him with our relationship. I wanted to grow it to be something that we can grow into and be with each other.
Get to the car.
Get him on his feet. And when he got kicked out of his house by his parents, so my family took him in, and my brother's my witness. And I had spoken to my family. My family didn't agree that I was going to help him purchase a car.
Your family did or did not?
Did not agree.
Well, you should have listened to them.
They did not agree to that, but out of my own will, out of my, I wanted to help him out. But by helping him out, with the verbal agreement that he was going to pay back the car, at least half, and I have the papers here.
Pay back the car at least half, did you say?
Yes, at least half of the car. And I have the papers here of when we took out the money from the bank, which is proof of...
You're talking fast. Because you're talking fast doesn't mean I'm not going to dissect everything that you're saying, Miss Marin.
Okay.
So you gave him the money to buy the car.
I helped him.
And you said that you want him to pay it back, or at least pay back half.
That was the agreement. That was the verbal agreement.
Give me the piece of paper she wants to show me, please, Bird.
And the part that's highlighted is when we took out the money from the my bank account. So he came in.
Now, just for my own information, why half of the $7,800, Miss Marin?
Because I understood that he didn't have all the money to pay me back, but because his word, he stated to me that he had paid back his mother the full car that his mother had purchased him. And he told me, Arlene, I promise you, my good word, that because I paid back my mother, I'm going to pay you back what I owe you.
And what did he owe you?
He owed me at least half, which is about $3,500.
He says, and put your hand down, I'm not looking at your direction. It's not that I don't see you. It's not that I'm interested right now in what you have to say. The defendant says that he had a car, and he sold his car to your brother for much less than its value. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Did you buy his car?
No.
You're a different brother.
It's a different brother.
Bought his car. What year car was it that your other brother bought from him?
It was a 91 Honda Civic.
And how much did your other brother pay for the car?
He paid $500 for it.
Is that right?
No, ma'am, that's $300 he paid for it.
Paid $300?
He was originally going to pay $500, but she reduced it to $300 without my knowledge.
Who got the $300?
Her mom.
That's incorrect. He had sold the car to my cousin for $500, and my cousin gave him the money. He had used the money to put stuff in his car, and when I resold the car, my cousin resold the car to my brother for $300. So that's incorrect what he's saying.
Okay, well, she gave me the money for the car, and she's saying that I used the money to put into the car. I didn't have a car at the time to put that money into, so...
You sold this 91 car to a relative of hers. Was it her brother or her cousin?
Her cousin originally, and she did
not... That's what I want. All right. So you sold it originally to the cousin. For how much?
It was for $500.
And how much did she give you?
Did she give you the money for the car?
No, not the whole $500.
Did she give you some of it?
She gave me some of it.
All right. Don't waltz around me, Mr. O'Neill. Do you understand? Don't waltz around me. Did you agree to pay her back half the cost of this car?
No, I was not going to pay her back for the car because she told me she was going to purchase the car for me as a gift.
She did. When did she say that?
She said that when we were in the room talking with her mother.
Was her mother in favor of that? Of her giving you a car?
No.
No, not originally, not at first, no.
I would say not. How long were you dating before she gave you money to buy this car?
About 3 months, 3 or 4 months.
Why would you even accept a gift?
I was looking for a new car. I was going to go to a used dealership and purchase a car, and she offered to buy me a car to her brother.
Why? You didn't sell the car to a brother, you sold it to a cousin.
Originally, yes.
Right. What I'm asking you is, why would you allow a girl to spend almost $8,000 for a gift for you?
It wasn't even like that. Yeah.
Why?
She was offering it, and I didn't want it at first, and I told her that I wanted to get the car myself. But she offered to do it, and she kept offering, and I just said, okay.
You mean she wore down your morality?
She was offering the car.
She wore down your morality?
No, I was not offering the car.
Yeah, you were. Listen to me. Stop being stupid. You don't make a verbal agreement with somebody to pay back at least half the car. That's not a verbal agreement. You pay back at least half. Either it was a loan or it was a gift. Loan, gift.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They didn't give me nothing because it was in her account. They wouldn't give me no receipt or nothing.
Yes, they do. Of course they do. You go to the bank, you get a receipt.
They didn't give me any receipt. I was paying the loan back.
Right? I don't care!
And later today...
She played around with it and she pointed it at my face. And I said, don't point that at me. And she said, well, it's never loaded when she shot it.
No.
Don't. When did you have an accident with the car?
Really, I believe it was in April, I believe.
You mean as soon as you got it? Try July.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Try July.
I'm sorry, it was a long time ago, so I really can't remember.
Wasn't so. How old are you?
20.
It wasn't so long ago. You should be able to remember that. You still have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, in July, you had an accident with the car.
Correct.
Between April and July, did he make any payments to you?
At that time he was working.
April and July, did he make any payments to you?
No.
He was supposed to.
That's correct.
So in July, he had an accident with the car. And how much did it cost to fix it?
It cost about between $800 and $900.
How much did you borrow from her?
$1,200.
Now, why did you lend him another $1,200?
That's incorrect. The loan was for $3,000. He took all that money. I have it right here. There's the loan papers, and this is the outstanding for the insurance. It's a total of $3,800 that he owes for the loan, and he owes the whole loan.
Did you take $1,200 or $3,800?
We took a loan for $3,800.
For what?
On the title of my car. I used my title to take the loan out once the car was purchased.
Right.
So we pulled the loan out under her name, and she gave me $1,200 of that.
Oh, just a second. So you took the loan out, and the car is collateral.
Correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And who's the car titled to?
Me.
How much did you pay back?
I paid her back about $800. I was paying her at the end before she broke up with me, and I was paying her a couple months after.
What did you do? You took out $3,800 on the car. Who got that money?
Well, we did, but she gave me $1,200 of it to use to fix my car.
And where went the other money?
We took a vacation to St. Augustine.
You did? Where else? What else did you spend the money on?
I don't remember. I know we gave some of money to her mom. She said that she wanted to give money from that loan to her mom as a gift. I believe
that's incorrect. I never used any of those $3,000. He used it all on his car. He bought a wing for the car, he bought a radio, whatever else he bought, he used it all on the car. I never used any of that money.
What is its current value, do you know?
Probably about $3,000. That's the value of the car in the Blue Book.
The value in Blue Book on the car, if you see on the loan papers, is $4,700.
And when was it $4,700?
A year ago.
Well, I'd like to know what the current... Do we have a Blue Book? Pat? We'll wait for you, Bert. Do you want to see if you can pick up a Blue Book for me?
Sure thing.
I have a very easy way to... You're going to get rid of this car. Pay off the loan. That's very easy. The car's going to be sold. I'm going to create an order that you will, within 5 days, turn the car in to the loan company.
Yes.
Pay off the car, see what the Blue Book value is, and that's it. Then you're finished.
But I sold my other car to hold Brandon.
I don't care! What? Say it standing.
That car is not worth any more what the value of the car is.
I'm going to check the Blue Book.
Because when we purchased that car was in mint condition. That car was it's got a different engine.
Now, all the parts,
from what I hear,
everything.
that car is run down.
Maybe.
He has it all in his garage.
That's your problem. If she's going to be stupid, do you think that the courts are going to worry about that? I'm trying to at least make her as whole as I possibly can, because I think that his actions are unconscionable. But she made him a gift of this car. There isn't a question in my mind about that. She did not, and if it was a loan, she would have had a loan paper, something in writing, not some nebulous, he'll pay me back at least half, and then when he doesn't pay her anything, April, May, and June, she lends him another $3,000 on her name. I mean, that's stupid.
Now, I was paying back the loan, okay, and I had forgotten her account number, and I called her to receive the account number so I can pay it, because I didn't want to see her for the loan, because we were broken up at the time. And she wanted me to give the money to her boyfriend to pay the loan back, and I wasn't going to trust that, because at the time her boyfriend was threatening me.
Oh, be quiet. Could you find the line here, Bert? I really don't read this thing well. And find it in the worst condition.
24, 25.
Your Honor.
What?
There's more to this than just the car itself. I mean, we took him in. As a family, we took him and we gave him...
He got kicked out of his house
we
by his
gave
mother.
him a home. You know, he betrayed us. And not only... I know my sister did wrong, because we didn't agree with her, the decision, in giving him that money.
Where'd you get the money from, by the way?
I got, because I have cerebral palsy, and then I got the loan, well, it's not a loan, it's an annuity payment, because my father sued the doctor that delivered me.
Don't be so generous with your money.
I know.
How much money did he pay back? He says he paid back $800. Is that right?
No,
He didn't pay back anything. I can show you proof. I'm the one who's paying those loan payments.
Just a second. Show me proof that you gave her $800.
I didn't give it to her directly. I was paying the bank, and I was giving the cash to the bank. Now, I was paying the bank back.
Bank gives you receipts if you pay cash.
No, they didn't give me nothing because it was in her account. They wouldn't give me no receipt or nothing.
Yes, they do. Of course they do. You go to the bank, you get a receipt.
They didn't give me any receipt. I was paying the loan back.
Then you're as stupid as she is. Then you're as dumb as she is.
And if I could also add that she wanted the money so bad that she actually made an attempt to make a false statement on my father's credit report and filled out a credit card application. And she didn't receive this letter, so she wrote another one to see if she got the letter, and we got this one.
Who cares?
What is he talking about?
It has her address and her name on it.
Who cares? What does that have to do with the money that you owe her?
Because she was trying to get the money from me, so she was making an attempt to get money from my father.
You were hiding from us.
And I did not make any attempt to get anything from
There's her address and my father's name on there.
Because you lived in our address.
Listen to me. You're going to sell the car because you didn't make the payments like you were supposed to. $3,000. If you get $2,000 for the car, it still means you owe her $1,000. You've driven the car for a while. I hope you've enjoyed it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000 plus an order that the car is to be sold forthwith, and the money is to be remitted to her, the other $2,000. Thank you.
That's all. Excused. You may step out.
After she broke up with me, I just left her, and now she's coming back to get my car.
It's what he did to us as a family who took him in when his own family didn't want him.
I heard her talking in Spanish with her boyfriend to get up again and kick my sons.
His mother and his father both threatened me.
She's a liar, she's a thief, and she committed a lot of fraud.
I have done nothing to them.
She will go to jail, I promise you.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nelson versus Thomas. Step forward, please.
24-year-old nursing assistant Tritasha Nelson is suing her ex-boyfriend's wife, 22-year-old nurse Natasha Thomas, for vandalizing her car. Natasha is countersuing for harassment.
Are you Mr. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're his wife?
Yes.
And Ms. Nelson, you have children. Father of those children is Mr. Thomas.
Correct.
It is your claim that his wife vandalized your car.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. How long are you married?
4 years.
You have children?
Yes.
How many children?
2.
How old are they?
3 and 1.
And Miss Nelson, how old are the children that you have by Mr. Thomas?
2 years and 4 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
Other than the obvious, Miss Nelson, your car was vandalized when?
It was vandalized on the night of July 4th.
Just a sec. July 4th of this year?
Yes.
Did you see Miss Thomas vandalize your car?
No, I was at home.
Mr. Thomas had borrowed your car?
Yes.
Do you have any proof that Mrs. Thomas vandalized your car?
He told me that she vandalized my car.
Stand up. Mr. Thomas, did you see your wife vandalize Miss Nelson's car?
No, ma'am.
Did she confess to you that she had vandalized her car?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever tell Miss Nelson that your wife vandalized her car?
No, ma'am.
What were you doing driving Miss Nelson's car?
Me and my cousin, we went out that night, and we used the car just to go out that night. And he told her before I got home, before I got there, I mean, that I guess they don't get along.
Sit down. Miss Nelson, has he been living with you or with his wife?
He's been living with her for the past, I mean, he was living with me around the time when I got pregnant with my second child.
And what about your first?
No, he told, well, that happened. They were separated. He told me that they were divorced. When I found out that they were still married, I was already pregnant with my first daughter.
So you knew he was a liar? You knew he was a liar when you got pregnant with your second child?
True.
That's what you get. Listen, you have no proof that she vandalized your car.
He told me that she vandalized my car.
He denies that now.
Well, I mean...
I don't know. I mean, he's a liar.
Exactly.
So when am I supposed to figure out when he's lying and telling the truth? Now he's telling the truth?
His cousin
he's telling the truth?
Well, his cousin called and told me that she vandalized the car.
You can't tell me what his cousin... Listen to me.
Okay, well...
Well, listen, you're trying to talk over me? You can't tell me what his cousin told you.
Okay.
I just asked him, and he's been sworn, whether his wife confessed. He said no. If you want to be dumb enough to let him use your car, that's your problem.
Exactly.
That's your...
I know, I understand that.
Good.
But when he bought me my car back, he took me outside, showed me the damages, and he said that she vandalized my car. He came in the house, his shirt was all ripped up because she got thrown out of the club because him and her was arguing and fighting, and she told him that she was going to go outside and vandalize my car. She went outside and vandalized my car, And since then, I've been telling her I want my car fixed. Yes, I have been harassing her. And because I want my car fixed, the police came and took fingerprints off the car. Every time they come to her house, she won't open the door because she knows she's guilty.
Miss Nelson, listen to me carefully. This is not a talk show. It's a court. You have no proof that she vandalized your car. She probably did it.
I know she did it.
Well, she probably did it. Why in the world you would let him drive your car, I have no idea. Why? He's a liar. He's a two-timer. He's married. You have 2 children with him. So, does that make you smart or dumb? Does that make you smart or dumb?
It was dumb of me again, the second one, but the first one, I didn't know.
Madam, listen to me. Were you married to him?
No, I wasn't married to him.
Then is there any reason why you should have a child with him?
Well, he shouldn't have lied about not being married the first time.
Listen to me.
And I wouldn't have
You weren't
either
married
one of
to
them.
him. Why are you having a child with him?
Like I said, I didn't know that he was still married when I had my first child.
He wasn't married to you.
So?
Go have your car fixed. Not by her.
Now, this is case number 242 on the calendar in the matter of Powell versus Jefferson. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Ms. Powell, according to your complaint, you believe that the defendant had you falsely arrested on vandalism charges that came about as a result of your trying to save a parking space for your husband. Is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Jefferson says that you actually hit his car with your fists as he was trying to back into a parking space that you were saving. Is that right, Mr. Jefferson?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Powell, what time did this incident start?
7 o'clock.
In the evening?
In the evening, on February 9th.
Where were you?
We were in Old Town, Sacramento.
Who was with you?
My 2 children, my husband, and my girlfriend, Connie.
Where had you been?
We were across the street having a celebration for my husband's birthday.
Where?
El Terranza Mexican restaurant.
And I gather from your complaint that you have a van because you have another daughter who is 15 and who is in a wheelchair.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that child was also with you on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
According to you, your husband went to get the van. There was a parking space across the street. You were saving it. You were saving it by standing in the parking space with your 9-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And he pulls up.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of vehicle was he driving?
A black car. I didn't see him until after he hit me.
Now, what happened, sir, when you got to that parking space?
I was on my way to work, pulled in the park where I always do, normally. As I started to park in the parking spot, she stepped off of the sidewalk saying that she was saving the spot because it was a handicapped parking spot. And she kept pointing to the sign stating that I couldn't park there because it was a handicapped parking spot. I tried to explain to her that the sign isn't the handicapped parking sign. It's stating that there's handicapped parking down K Street. The arrow points down that street. At that time, I started to walk to my car because she was belligerent.
Have a picture of that sign?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I do too.
I'd like to see it.
These 3 right here clearly shows the sign.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. Sir, is this in front of the bar?
Yes.
If I saw that sign, I would think that this is where handicapped people were supposed
And
to park.
that's why I had a picture taken of that, because it's showing the red zone
Yeah.
and not a blue handicap parking.
I don't care. What I'm telling you is, if I saw this sign, handicapped parking, with this arrow pointing in this direction, not in the direction, and not only that, there is a ramp here,
Right.
right? I would assume that this is the place that people with handicapped parking are supposed to park. That's what I would assume.
Okay.
Now, the fact that you work in this bar and you're accustomed to parking there and the cops let it slide, that may be. But if, as a civilian, they don't put handicapped parking signs around and give you directions, handicapped parking, go 2 blocks down.
However, what she stated is incorrect also. Her child in the wheelchair wasn't on the sidewalk. She was in the bar that we work at.
Just a minute. How did you know that when you were outside?
I didn't.
Quiet.
I didn't. I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't?
No.
All you know is she had a child with her.
I didn't even see a child. All I saw were people on the sidewalk. When I went to park, there was no one standing in the parking space. I started to back in. She stepped off the sidewalk at that time. If I'm not mistaken, it states in the police report also.
I want to tell you something. How often do the police come into the bar where you work?
Well, they patrol,
answer my question. All the time?
They patrol down there, yes.
All the time. You know them?
I don't know them by name.
Do they know you?
They know I work at the bar.
Right. I think that this thing was all handled very, very poorly. It's irritating if somebody comes and holds a spot. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I know you feel as if you had a legitimate reason for doing that because you had a child who had to be loaded into a wheelchair.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, he didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
But, Your Honor,
just a minute.
I mean, this was during Mardi Gras, so it wasn't like it was just their little group on the sidewalk. There was hundreds of thousands of people in Old Sacramento at the time. So that's what I'm saying. Her standing there wasn't out of the ordinary. As the incident progressed, I got in the car, she went back up on the sidewalk. That's when I started to back to park again. She jumped back down. That's when she punched my car. I got out then, asked Shannon, well, she came out after the incident started. I asked her to go call the police. That's when
Did you have any discussions with Shannon?
No. She had just
When
came
did you
out
find
of the
out
bar.
that her daughter who was in a wheelchair was in the place where you were working?
That was all after the fact.
Your Honor?
Yes.
He said that he never saw, or he was on his way to work, and he saw the parking space available. He's lying because when I was in the bar getting my soda for my handicapped child because she has diabetes, he was standing at the bar, and he had received some money. If this is the female bartender that works there, he received a wad of money from her, and he had a drink.
So what you're telling me is that he had been in the bar earlier?
Right before all this took place. Mr. Pate came in to the bar where I was standing and said, there's this parking space out in front. Would you please go stand there so we can leave and load Ciara up? And I said yes. I went out and stood in the parking space. I did not know who this man was until he got out of the car, and then I realized that it was the same man that was standing right here on the corner of the bar and had a wad of money handed to him by a female bartender.
Is that your job? You're the female bartender?
Yes, I am.
Did you give him some money that day?
No, I did not. Can I add?
Yes.
I was at the bar bartending, and they had come in. The daughter was the daughter was in the wheelchair by the door. They were drinking. He was drinking shots of Jack Daniels.
Who was?
The gentleman over there.
Uh-huh.
I actually had cut him off, and she had already been drinking.
Now, this was not the Mexican restaurant that we're talking about?
It's La Terraza.
What happened to
the street?
If you had just finished dinner at the Mexican restaurant, which is what you told me a moment ago, and from the Mexican restaurant you were leaving, that's the impression that I got. Then I couldn't understand how you wound up getting a soft drink for your daughter who was in a wheelchair across the street at the bar. That doesn't sound right. It would seem to me if you were to put your hand down. You don't want to get up here. Trust me. I got a nose that's always right on target.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I had cut him off because he had had too many shots already.
Oh, I believe that. I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I'm not sure.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Powell claims bouncer Willie Jefferson assaulted her over a parking space. Christina says she was just trying to help her handicapped daughter.
I believe her when she said he was doing shots at the bar. I want you to understand that.
Your Honor, there was an hour span when we left the Mexican restaurant.
Right.
We walked around with the girls.
But then you went to a bar, and he was having shots. Right.
It also states, this is her statement that she made to the police.
Let me see the police report.
Saying that my husband had a shot and I was drunk.
And her husband also went to go pick up the van after I cut him off. So he went to go pick up the van to pick up the child, and I had cut him off because he had had too many shots already.
Oh, I believe that. I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I'm not sure. Well, you told the police we had been at the bar and we were getting ready to leave. My husband had had a shot and I was drunk.
Why would I say I'm drunk? I don't drink, Your Honor.
Well, it states right
Just a
there
minute.
you were in the bar.
Just a
Exactly. That's where I saw you, and that's how you knew that you were going to take that parking space away from me.
Don't speak to each other.
Sorry, Your Honor.
It wasn't your parking space. Don't you understand,
Absolutely
Mrs.
not, it
Powell?
wasn't.
It's not your parking space.
Exactly.
It's not your parking space unless you have a car there.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know whether you were drunk or not because this police report is suspect to me because it's been written over. And I'm not suggesting that you wrote it over. I'm suggesting that somebody changed it. Do you know what I'm talking about, sir? Do you know where I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm going to show you.
You can.
Because
I
I've been looking at
received my
police
copy
reports
yesterday.
longer than you've been alive. I want you to look at both places where it says I was drunk, and you tell me whether it doesn't look as if something else was there before I was drunk.
This is my copy. Yeah.
Look to you like there was something there before?
Yeah, like it's, instead of saying I, it said I'm.
It looks like there was something else before that you can't completely make out. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, there's a I.
Sure
It
does.
says I, and it says I'm drunk. That's what it looks like to me.
Can't
Instead
tell
of
because
saying
somebody
I was
changed
drunk.
it.
Like I
And
said,
I'm not
it's just-
suggesting you changed
Exactly, what?
it, but I'm suggesting that somebody changed it.
Okay.
In any event, I think that you both behaved badly that day. I certainly think you behaved irresponsibly. Sounds to me as if there was too much drinking going on in your family.
No.
Oh, yeah. I believe there was.
No.
Oh, I believe there was. I believe if he had one drink, and believe me, he had a lot more than one drink between the Mexican restaurant and the bar.
No, he
had
did
no
not.
business getting behind the wheel of a van to come and pick you
If
up.
that was so, then why did the police officers let him drive away?
I haven't a clue. But I know that you were behaving irresponsibly when you came out of the bar and stood, according to you, in a parking space and got into an altercation with him. You were behaving irresponsibly. If you have two children with you, you're supposed to do everything that you can do to avoid confrontation.
Absolutely.
You didn't do that. Neither did he.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
No, you didn't.
He hit me from behind. I mean, he hit me. I didn't even know he was there.
At that point, when you said that he hit you as he was backing up, you take your daughter out of harm's way. You don't put her back in harm's way for him to do it again. Only somebody that would do that is somebody who was irresponsible or drunk.
Your Honor, I thought he was leaving.
Oh,
I thought he
please.
got back in
Your
his car
complaint's
to
dismissed.
leave.
I'm not going to get anywhere with either one of you. You both handled the situation very poorly that day. And this court cannot resolve a situation that resulted in two people behaving very badly. You may have gotten the worst of it, but you both behaved irresponsibly. You as a parent with two children with you, and you driving a car that is capable of causing injury. Don't get into a confrontation with people over a parking space. You move on. You got it?
Your Honor, may I
That's all.
recover my
Period.
All these are excused. You may step out.
The whole thing was fabricated. She was at the bar, her husband, and the kids.
He was already drunk, driving, picking up the child.
For the plaintiff.
Thank you.
All right, this is case number 77 on the calendar in the matter of Privet versus Ali. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Miss Ali, is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Is that your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Getting the picture. Going to be a familiar picture. Miss Privet, according to your complaint, the defendant's daughter, this young lady, moved into your house with your permission.
Yes, ma'am.
And I gather that she had gotten into a teenage snit with her mother and left the house, came to your house. When was that?
Right after my birthday in September of 2001.
Does she still live there?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, am I correct in assuming that the way you know her is through your son?
Yes, ma'am. They're boyfriend and girlfriend.
How lovely. And how old is your son?
He's 20.
You want the defendant to pay support
Yes, ma'am,
for
I
her
do.
16-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And she's been there since September, so coming on to a year. What do you have to say about that?
I have to say about that first of all, my daughter has a home with me. Second of all, I do take care of my daughter financially. I take her to all her doctor appointments. I pay for anything the insurance doesn't. I pay for her birth control. I'm not sleeping with her. I pick her up if
Miss
she
Ali.
gets sick from school.
Miss Ali.
I'm not going to give her money for my minor daughter
let me
to
ask
stay
you,
away from home.
You're not following my
Well, I
comment?
didn't understand you then. What do
Because
you
you didn't let
no.
me finish.
I'm sorry.
Do you have other children at home?
No, I don't.
Who else lives in your home?
Just me and my boyfriend.
Does your daughter get along with the boyfriend?
She never gave him a chance to get along with him.
So the answer is no, she doesn't get along with him.
Mm-hmm.
Does he work?
Oh, she's a nurse.
Has she always lived with you?
Yes, she has.
Ever been out of your care for 16 years?
Yes, she has for
When?
a short period of time.
When?
For 3 months in the year of 2000. I was in a drug program for 90 days.
So there was a time when you were not doing much parenting for her.
Exactly.
About how many years was it that you weren't doing parenting for her?
It wasn't years. It was
Well, if
3
you went
months.
No. You didn't go into a drug program because you didn't have a problem. You had a problem, which is why you went into the drug program. So how long was your problem? A year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2.5 years.
So for a period of at least, if you say 2.5 years, it was probably more, you weren't doing much parenting for her.
No, it was 2.5 years.
Okay. Now, what about your daughter's father? Does he pay child support?
Yes, he does.
How much does he pay in child support?
It's $115 a week, but half of that is arrears, what he's owed me from $24,000 past child support.
Have you gone into court to seek the court's assistance in having your daughter returned to your house?
No.
Have you gone to the police to have your daughter returned to the house?
Yes, I did.
And what time did you go to the police?
When she first left home.
Did the police go to Miss Privet's house?
No, they did not.
So after the police told you whatever they told you, you dropped it and did not go into the local family court, which would have jurisdiction over your daughter, to have her returned to your house?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you employed?
No, I'm not.
Stand up. Tell me your name.
Danielle Felix.
What happened when you left home?
What happened? What do you mean?
Why won't you tell me why you left home?
Well, my mom had a drug problem, and I didn't really like her boyfriend. He was too demanding and trying to be more of a father-like to me, but I've only known him for 3 years, 3 months, sorry, before then. And my mom was too busy with her other stuff. Like
What other stuff?
Drugs.
Was she still using drugs when you left home?
That's a lie.
Shh. What kind of drugs was she using?
Pain pills. She's been on pain pills for a while now.
What kind of pain pills, do you know?
Oxycontin, like Percocets, Vicodins.
Is that the nature of her drug problem before she went into rehab?
Yes.
Same pain pills?
Yes.
How long has your mother been doing pain pills?
Since I was about 13.
Prior to that, did you have any problem with your mother?
No.
At Miss Privet's house, do you share a room with your boyfriend?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Miss Privet, that's inappropriate.
Yes, ma'am, I know that.
That's inappropriate.
I know.
Why do you permit it?
At first, when she first moved in with us, she was sleeping on the couch, okay, and it was right next to my son's room. And when I went to sleep at night, I didn't know that they were together until one morning I woke up and I found them together. And, you know, I told them I had a problem with it, and they pretty much told me, well, Miss Allison Alley was buying their condoms and birth control pills, so I figured that it was, you know, okay, she was, I know it's wrong and it shouldn't happen, but I don't want to lie to you and tell you that they weren't
No, I
sleeping
know.
together.
I
you know,
got it.
so.
I got it. I got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have a sense that her mother is still abusing painkillers. Quiet!
I didn't say anything.
Good.
And later today.
That is a lie.
Did I look at you?
No, ma'am, she's lying.
But you're going to have a turn, Mr. Walker, and your turn will come when I say it's your turn.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Privet says the mother of her son's girlfriend, Allison Alley, owes for child support. Susan claims Allison's 16-year-old daughter is now living with her.
Now, Miss Privet, I don't know what you want to do formally to make whatever custody arrangements you want to make, but I believe that if you want that child support regularly paid to you as legal custodian of Danielle, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to court to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your father, Danielle?
My father's at home right now in Pompano.
Your father knows about your living condition?
Yes.
Do you visit with your father?
Once in a while.
Why?
He has his own girlfriend and too busy for me.
Are you going to school?
Yes.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Just about, yeah.
Ma'am, she
Not
missed
just
something.
about. Just about is not every day. Yes.
Ma'am, okay. When Danielle first came to live with me, she was not going to school on a regular basis. Miss Alley was moving her around from place to place.
Really?
When she first moved in with me, she was going to Silver Lakes. Then she came to live with me, and we registered her at my son's school, which was Lions Creek Middle School. But she's 15 years old and she was in the 8th grade, so we went down and we signed her up at what we call North Area School of Choice, where they work at their own pace.
Signed her up.
Excuse me. Okay.
Just
yes,
a minute.
ma'am. She did take her down because she's a legal guardian, so she had to take her down.
She actually took her down and registered her at school.
Both schools.
Everything for her.
Is that right? Did you register your daughter at both those schools?
Yes, ma'am. I do everything for her, for her schooling,
Miss Ali,
getting her to school.
please. Please.
I have her
When she
attendance
registered
record
her
here.
at school, whose address did she give?
She gave mine, ma'am, and I have a
Can
letter
I see
from
it,
the-
please?
It's just an envelope. I don't have the report card in there.
And this is your address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Miss Privet, I want you to pay attention to me.
Okay.
Her father should not be paying child support to Miss Ali.
Correct.
The child support check should be coming to you if the court is going to give permission for her to stay with you. Do you
Correct.
understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, they may not, because they may not like the living arrangement.
Correct.
The truth of the matter is, what are you going to do with a 16-year-old? A 16-year-old doesn't want to stay someplace else. She can't stay with her mother. Mother's got her own bag of tricks. She can't stay with her father. Clearly, with the permission of both her parents, because they both know where she is, and her mother enrolled her in school giving your address.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, your lawsuit seeks $1,600 for money owed for child care. The truth of the matter is, you'd be entitled, in my judgment, to $4,600 because she's been with you for approximately 40 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
At $115 a week, that's $4,600. Quiet!
Didn't say anything.
Good. Now, you're not suing for $4,600, you're suing for $1,600. That you're going to get. But what you have to do is, if you want a formalized order so that you don't have to keep coming back to court for this, I would strongly suggest that you go into family court. Yes?
Okay, well, I had spoken with her father, and he said that he wanted the child support switched over to me, but he doesn't have the money for an attorney to go to court, and he said, so...
He doesn't have to. You can go to court on your own, seeking guardianship of the child.
Okay.
I have a sense that her mother is not going to contest it, because if her mother contests it, what will happen is they will determine that her mother, based upon her daughter's testimony, is still abusing painkillers. She had a history of substance abuse. They will send her mother for regular drug testing and drug screening. Her mother will not want to go for regular drug screening. And in all probability, they will permit her to stay with you. That's if you make different arrangements as far as where these two children sleep. He's
sleep with
20,
me.
she's 16. That cannot continue. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a wonderful child. She's part of my family.
All she does is allow a roof where they can have sex.
If you love your children, you should do everything in your power to try and keep them.
Don't lay back and hope your daughter's going to come home. Take legal action right away.
If Danielle would like me to, yes, I will.
Yes.
Then yes, we're going to go ahead with legal custody of Danielle.
Case number 44 on the calendar in the matter of Fowler versus Broom. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Fowler, you are suing the defendant for some child care that you provided during a 3-month period from September until December.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that you were paid. Did you know her before you started to do this child care arrangement with her?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How?
I met her in the summer of 2000. Her son was over to my house, and he had stole some money, so I had to go and talk with her about it. He admitted stealing the money, and...
How old is your son?
He's now 13. And then again, he was not the only one.
But that's not the child you were
Right.
babysitting for.
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Then on September the 10th of 2001, I went to Tarzana Elementary School to pick up my daughter, Cayman. And when I got there, her daughter, Kylie, was with my daughter. And she was crying, and I asked her what was the matter, and she said that she was
lying.
upset.
I don't want to hear.
She said that she was upset because her mother hadn't come to pick her up yet. So I called her mother on the cell phone and let her mother know that if it was okay, I would, bring her home. She said she got off at 6 o'clock. At 6:30 when she got to my house, we entered a verbal agreement for me to begin watching her child.
Well, what was said? She must have said something to you. Can you watch her regularly?
Yes, she let me know that her daughter was on the waiting list for Latchkey, which is an after-school program. Until then, she didn't really have anyone to pick her up from school. I told her I could pick her up, each day with my daughter. And she said she would pay me $6 an hour. I was picking her up at 2:30 each day, and I began on September 11th actually providing child care for her. Then on September the 14th, Ms. Broom approached me with paperwork from a company called CC&RC and asked me if I would enter a contract with them. They are a company that provides assistance with child care payments for single parents. I filled out the application and everything and then began to wait. One of the things that I mentioned to her, in order for me to be able to watch her child, I would have to enter her child into programs that my child was entered into, tap and ballet classes. Here are the receipts for the ballet and tap classes that I entered her daughter. I paid for them, and Mrs. Broom reimbursed me.
Good. Okay. Did you get paid at all from Mrs. Broom?
Not for child care, no ma'am.
Nothing?
No ma'am.
Well, what was her excuse? You watched the child in September, in October?
When I filled out the forms for the company CC&RC, they were going to be paying me the money. I received the first contract from them on October the 23rd, and I noticed that the rate that they were offering to pay was $2.84, which was not the agreement I had with Ms. Broom. Ms. Broom, when I brought the contract to her, she said, well, don't worry about it. I will reimburse you. I will pay you.
Why hadn't she paid you anything from September 11th until October?
Paid.
I want to get to you. Okay. Why hadn't she paid you anything? Why did you continue to watch her daughter if she hadn't paid you anything?
Because I filled out the contract with this company, and I was told by her that they would pay me. They told me it would take a couple of weeks for the paperwork to go through.
Okay, so now you've got middle of October, and they tell you they're going to pay you $2.84 an hour. You speak to her, she said, don't worry, I'll make up the difference.
Yes, she did.
What happened in the end of October and the month of November? Because clearly she wasn't giving you, according to you, any more money, even the difference, even if you were paid by the state. She wasn't.
Well, she always had an excuse as to why, and me being her friend, I didn't, you know, I was trying to actually help her. She was having problems with her son in school. She was having financial problems being a single mother or whatever, and I was being very understanding of that, being a single mother myself.
Did you get any money whatsoever from the defendant?
No, ma'am.
Did you get any money from this organization?
Yes, ma'am. On December the 20th, I received a check from that organization.
For how much?
For $360. And here's the copy of the paperwork for that. Ms. Broom and I met on October the 15th to go down to CC&RC to ask what was going on as to why I hadn't been paid. They stated that I had not had a TB test. So on the 19th, I had a TB test, and here's the record for that.
Okay.
Okay. Then they said it would be a few more weeks for the paperwork
so those weeks that you babysat for her, 5 days a week, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I kept a...
Just a second. And how many weeks did you watch the child?
I don't have the weeks calculated, but I do have a tally for each month of September, October, November, December, the days that I watched a child, the hours that I watched a child. CC&RC provides you with this type of form that you turn in.
Okay. Now I'll hear you, Ms. Broom.
Okay. First of all, I would like to iterate that my daughter did stay on the grounds. I took my lunch at 2:30 between 3 and picked her up. My children, both of them, were able to come to my job and sit in the conference room.
Listen, I'm not interested.
All right. Well, other than
not
that,
interested.
My daughter would not be standing there crying. She called me on my cell phone. She says, I'll take Kylie home with me. And then she says, I can watch her if you want. She offered. I never asked her.
That's not true.
Which is fine. I never asked her to do anything. I told her that I had Kylie on the waiting list with CCRC. And if she, if we discuss it, if she didn't mind, she can watch her and she can sign a contract with them and they'll reimburse her. I pay CCRC a portion of whatever the child care is.
How much do you pay CCRC?
It all depends on what the provider is being charged. Here's a log of what I pay CCRC. She was paid. That's the bottom line. I don't owe her any money. There were things that were going on in her home. She was rather upset because I removed my child from her home.
That's not true.
There were things. She has an autistic daughter.
She stayed with, listen to me carefully, Miss Broom. Your daughter stayed with her part of September, October, November, part of December. And what you're telling me, your defense to this case is that your arrangement with her was that she was going to be paid by this organization.
And until she was paid, I paid her cash. Okay. And in the same instance, just like I paid her for ballet and tap, she was reimbursed for child care.
Yeah, okay.
She was reimbursed for child care.
Really?
Not only did she, and she said, she's making a statement that she watched my daughter. We did things for each other. We were supposed to be friends. Quote unquote, I thought that's what we are. In the same instance, she made matters even worse. I didn't even want to deal with it, remove my child from her home. The things that went on in her home, I couldn't relate to it.
Forget. Okay. I'm not interested. You left your child there. That's the bottom line.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's lying.
No, I don't believe she's lying.
Well, I believe she's lying.
Well, I don't care what you believe. The most important thing is that I don't believe she's lying. I don't believe that for 1 second.
And later today,
you were on City Time romancing his girlfriend in his house. You didn't tell me it wasn't true, Mr. Flores.
It's not true.
Because I have a feeling you two guys are playing with each other a little bit.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rebecca Fowler says former friend Delva Broom owes for babysitting fees. Delva says Rebecca was paid by the county.
How much do you earn annually?
Probably about $33,000, $34,000 a year.
Okay.
That's the issue. She thought that I don't know what I'm a single mother. I'm not on welfare. I work hard.
That's fine.
And if I was not qualified for this, she knew that she signed a contract with CCRC. Until CCRC picked up her contract, I then paid her. Again, she's lying.
I don't believe she's lying.
Well, I believe she's lying.
I don't care what you believe. The most important thing is that I don't believe she's lying.
Well.
I believe because a babysitter, not somebody who's 12 years old, but somebody who is an adult, a very minimal, reasonable payment for an adult is $6 an hour.
Right. And she received that.
Just a second. I don't believe that for 1 second that you paid her. Not for a moment. I believe that she was strung along.
No.
And she finally got a payment of $360, which is here in the paperwork. Put your hand down. Does it look like you're losing?
No, ma'am.
Where is your daughter currently?
My daughter is currently in an after-school program.
And when was she accepted in the after-school program?
After...
What month?
January.
Right. So you stopped with her in December?
No, I did not. I was at the end of November.
Listen, you're a fast talker.
No,
Bottom line is, I believe that you agreed with her and you said, I can pay you $6 an hour. Ultimately, you said to her, fill out these forms because some of it, you can get back and then I can pay you the difference.
No.
That sounds right to me.
That's not true.
But
because
nobody is going to work for $2 an hour. Nobody works for $2 an hour. Judgment for the plaintiff. Quiet! Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,612. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There's a reason why I took my child from her home. She's very vindictive. She's been convicted of child abuse.
I terminated the child care because by December the 15th, I hadn't been paid by her nor CCNRC.
She's a liar, welfare recipient.
Threatening to have me and my boyfriend beat up by people.
She's a liar, and she was paid. She's a liar.
She never paid me anything.
And now the next case.
Now, this is case number 92 on the calendar in the matter of Malavenda versus Breen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Malavenda, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you on an airplane.
That's correct.
The defendant says it was just a tap. And he is counterclaiming for ruining the vacation he was planning with his wife, including the loss of some theater tickets because he was hauled off of this plane and he missed his theater and he ruined his vacation. Is that right, Mr. Breen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me when this incident occurred.
On December the 1st of year 2001.
Where were you going?
To Las Vegas.
And where were you boarding the plane?
At Lindbergh Field in San Diego.
Okay. Tell me what happened, sir.
At 12 o'clock, we boarded the plane. I say we, it's Dane, Lay, and myself. And we sat down, and there was a...
Did you have assigned seats?
No, there are no assigned seating. We had boarding cards, and we had sat down. It was in the middle of the plane. 15, 20 minutes later, they announced there was a mechanical. Would everybody deplane, leave their luggage, and return to the same seat? It would take no longer than an hour. At that time, we did. And we came back within the hour, and they said, well, it's going to take longer to get the part than we thought it was. So they said, we're going to take another piece of equipment. Everybody go to gate 6.
Another piece of equipment meaning another plane?
A plane, yes, ma'am. Then at that point, both my friend and I went to gate 6. They opened up the gates, and they said, don't worry about seats, just grab the first seat you come to.
It was the same airlines?
Yes.
Not quiet.
And
not assigned seats?
No, ma'am. There was no assigned seats.
Okay.
So I approached, and the first row was taken, the second row was taken, the third row wasn't. So I let my friend, he doesn't fly that often, I said, go ahead and take the window seat, Dane, because you don't fly. I think he's flown once in his life. He says, fine. So I sat in the middle. I buckled in, and then at that point, the row of the stream of people are coming in. Then this gentleman comes up to me, and he says, you're in my seat. Move. Not please, not anything. And I laughed. I thought he was kidding, like, hey, this is first class, isn't it? You're in my seat. I thought he was, kidding. So at that point, I laughed. And I said, you got to be kidding. That's exactly what I said. You got to be kidding. And at that point, he smacked me on top of the head. And it was so hard, they heard it in the back of the plane. And it dazed me.
What did he smack you with?
At that time, I didn't know. I was told it was a book. And I don't know if the palm of the back of his hand hit me. I don't know if the book hit me. I do not know. At that point, he also made the statement, wait until I meet you in Vegas, or wait until I see you in Vegas. It took 5 seconds. And he kept on walking, and I said, I want that blank out of here. And the flight attendant came over, and I explained to her what had happened. They called the harbor police. They went to get him, and they got the wrong person at first. And, and then the party who was facing me, she spoke up. She says, I work for the San Diego Police Department, indicating that she wasn't a police officer, but she worked for them. And she said, I can identify him. And that she got up and went back and identified him, and then he was removed from the aircraft. A few minutes went by, they came and got me. I exited the plane. Would you like to sign a complaint? And I said, yes, I would. And at that point, that was the end of that incident. Got back on the plane, we went to Vegas, and he shows up the same hotel I'm at. Coincidence, and there's no way he would know. So apparently it was coincidence. But in my mind, I don't know how his mind's working, and I don't know what is going through it. So I avoided him.
Did you follow through with the complaint, sir?
Yes, I did.
What happened with that complaint?
They dismissed it because it was just too costly to go ahead and prosecute him.
Because you had no serious injuries.
I was dazed, and I have constant headaches, but that's beside the,
okay, fine. Now I'll hear your end of the story.
Well, it was also December 1st. It was, we got there at 9:15 for a 12:30 flight. There are no assigned seating, as he says. It's a cattle call. We had boarding passes number 2 and 3 because we had been there since 9:30 in the morning waiting for the 12:30 flight. We boarded the plane, and it was a mechanical problem. We were in the third seat back from the entrance of the plane at that time. They said that they were going to need to move us to another plane, and they did ask us at that time, quote, let's make this as friendly and convenient as possible. Would you all please take your current seat when we move to the new plane?
Okay.
They did repeat that several times while we were...
Yes, ma'am.
They did repeat that several times while we were changing from one plane to another. Got onto the plane. I don't believe I've ever seen this gentleman before in my life. Whether he was in the window seat, I don't know. This gentleman and his friend who was in the windows...
Try looking at me when you're testifying, sir.
Sorry, in the aisle seat. I asked him to move. I did say, you're in my seats. What do you think you're doing? Move. He laughed, said, what, are you kidding me? No way. Not going to happen. Waved me to go to the back of the plane. I asked him again to move. He continued to laugh in my face. I did at that point lean over the back of the seats in front of him and did mention that when we reached Las Vegas, he might prefer to have me as his friend. Not the most intelligent thing that I've ever done, but that is what I said. At that point, he stood up and said, oh, come on, I'll be your friend. Come to my hotel. I'll buy you a drink. We'll have a great time.
You're lying. That's a lie.
No, I'm not.
No, that's a lie. That's not even in your answer. That's not even in your answer, sir. Don't make up stories as we're moving along here. Don't make up stories as you move. He's sitting in his seat. He's buckled in. You lean over. And what you said in your answer was you acted foolishly, but you tapped him with the soft end of a paperback book.
After he stood up and had words with me and was in my face laughing, waved me to the back of the plane one more time. Yes, he was standing up to provoke me. And yes,
he was provoking you? Are you out of your mind? I mean, are you out of your mind? Is there something chronically wrong with you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You saw what he did. What did you say to him?
I didn't say much. I was
shocked. You were shocked. You said to him, what's wrong with you? Does he have a bad temper?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony Malavenda says fellow passenger Robert Breen assaulted him on an airplane. Tony claims Robert thumped him on the head with a book.
Now, sir, you put your hands on somebody over a seat in a plane? Is there something wrong with you?
Ma'am, after a 3-hour wait to get onto the plane.
Everybody waited for 3 hours. Everybody had a deep plane. Everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't the only one. You weren't taking a private plane, were you?
No.
So you're getting on a plane. Somebody is sitting in a row that you had been on in a previous plane. You told them to move. They didn't move, and you hit them. That's what happened. I mean, that's the long and short of it. You can't do that. I mean, what did you say to him? You're his wife. What did you say to him?
I was ahead of him in line, and I didn't actually speak to my husband. I was watching the situation.
Stand up here. You get back in your seat. You saw what he did. What did you say to him?
I didn't say much. I was
shocked.
Yes.
You were shocked.
I was shocked at the actions of both men, but it escalated to what it had.
You were shocked. You said to him, what's wrong with you? Does he have a bad temper?
No, not really.
Not really. I doubt
He
that.
needs to be provoked, but...
By being provoked, it means somebody was sitting in row 3? That was his provocation for hitting somebody?
The gentleman was pushing his buttons. He was...
No. He said, you're in my seat, move. He said, I'm not moving. He said it again. Then he leans over and he said to him, when we get to Vegas, you want to be my friend. That's a threat. That's before anything happened. That's before he got up. So your counterclaim for your destroyed vacation is dismissed because you deserve to have a destroyed vacation. Now, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing the defendant for $5,000. That's overkill.
Yes, ma'am.
Big time. You weren't injured, but he certainly has to be taught that this is not behavior that is acceptable. What are all these papers that you have to show me? I'm just curious.
These are the police report and the witness's report.
Let me just take a look at it quickly.
And my witness office. Yes, ma'am.
You know, Mr. Breen, you don't look like an unintelligent man, bad-tempered, but not unintelligent. You just recounted to me what you said exactly. You made up this whole big story about what he said to you, and that he got up and he was confrontational, and you made a whole story, right, about what he said to you.
I didn't make a story at all, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
sure you did. And you remembered and you recounted it how many months later? 6, 7, 8 months later, you recounted that statement to me as if it was gospel truth. Is that right, sir?
That's what happened on the plane, Your Honor.
All right. So what I'm suggesting to you, sir, is do you think one's memory becomes clearer as time goes on, or do you think it becomes dull?
It becomes a little dulled.
Of course. So I'm going to read you what the police said. Police said, suspect Breen made the following statement, and then talks about having to deplane one plane for another, and you were told to take the same seats. Breen asked him to move, and Malavenda laughed and refused. As Breen was walking away, and this is your statement, Malavenda made a smart comment which Breen could not recall. So you're saying you're one of the few people who, after a period of time, without hypnosis, without truth serum, things become clearer than they were on the day of the incident. So to the police, you couldn't recall what he said to you, but to me, 8 months later, you recall every word. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The way he said, you're in my seat, get out. I laughed. I thought the gentleman was kidding.
I was wrong to hit him.
I saw him hit Tony upside the head very hard with a paperback book.
This book, on the open part, pretty much like that.
The next case.
All parties in the matter of Hill versus Pito. Step forward, please.
Food clerk Lori Hill is suing her ex-husband, maintenance technician Dennis Pito, for the return of child support. Dennis says Lori still owes him for an unpaid medical bill.
Ms. Hill, you and the defendant have 2 children together, 2 daughters.
That's correct.
And according to your complaint, both of the girls were living with the defendant. Was that by court order?
Yes.
How long had the children been living with the defendant?
About 8 years.
And how old are they?
15 and 12.
What are their names? 15-year-old.
Teresa and Amy.
You were ordered to pay child support to the defendant for the two girls.
That's correct.
According to your complaint, there came a time when one of the girls came to live with you, and there was an agreement that since there is sometimes a lag in the accounting through the court, that any money that you paid after your older daughter Teresa came to live with you would be returned to you. It is your claim that Mr. Pito owes you $303. Mr. Pito says that you actually, despite the fact he doesn't have a counterclaim, owe him for a medical bill for one of the girls. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. The children had been living with Mr. Pito for 8 years. Did you have visitation with the girls?
Yes.
And under what circumstances did Teresa come to live with you?
I had a lady from Protective Services show up at my door. There had been a conflict at their home, and I was under the impression Teresa was hit, and that's why she came to stay with me.
What was the amount of the support that you were paying for the two girls?
$102 weekly.
How long had you been paying child support?
For the whole time that he
For
had
the whole
him,
8 years?
yes.
Did you have a discussion with Mr. Pito with regard to the child support when Teresa came to live with you?
Yes, he when he dropped her stuff off at my home, he had this paper for us to sign.
May I see it, please? Thank you. Okay. You say you'll waive the $104 in child support. That means that each of you was going to take care of one child, and there would be no support paid by either one. Is that right?
That's right.
And that is dated 12/4/01. Was any money taken out of your check after the 4th of December?
Yes, I have all my...
Is that the $303?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge, Mr. Pito, and let's not get to the medical yet, that the plaintiff paid child support beyond whatever these debts are of $303 that you received after December 4th?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Now tell me why you think that you shouldn't have to give that back to her.
Well, Your Honor, when I made that agreement with her, after that I realized there were still pending medical bills from when Amy had her asthma attack on September 2000, and there was a $1,700 bill. And at that time, she was still required to pay 36% of that $1,700. And after talking to the medical staff that was billing me, she told me that most of it might be taken care of, but at the very least, there's still going to be a $212 balance.
What do you mean most of it was going to be taken care of? What does that mean?
Well, because between her insurance and my insurance, they're trying to see who's the primary and who's the secondary. And before that's settled, and when I have to pay the bill, I want to make sure that she doesn't have any more outstanding bills.
So what you're saying is you signed this document, and afterwards you realized that there may be some money owing for a 2-year-old medical bill because the insurance hasn't been sorted out yet. Is that right?
That's right.
Mr. Pito, when you get your act together with regard to how much money you think Ms. Hill owes you, and all the insurance claims have been submitted and ultimately resolved, you have the ability to go in and file a claim against her if she still owes you any money. In the meantime, you have to return the $303 that you accepted from her after you signed this document indicating that you would not be taking any money from her. She would not be asking you for any money. You were both going to assume full financial responsibility for each of the girls that were in your custody. Okay? Now, that's easy. Do you see your daughter, Teresa?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Well, she lived on bad terms, and until she gets her act together, Your Honor, I don't want her in my house because she's a danger.
She's 15 years old. How's she behaving in your house?
She's a handful.
She's a handful?
Yes, she is.
I've got a feeling that you got the easier end of the bargain at this point. Is that right?
Your Honor, I've had custody for those girls for 8 years, and the reason for me having custody because she attempted suicide in front of my children.
No, don't go back 8 years. Right now, you have a 15